Good evening, everybody. Kevin J Johnston here. This is Your Questions Answered, part 36, where you can ask anything you want, and I will answer the question. Economics, socioeconomics, history, relationships, money, whatever it might be. And I noticed that, oh boy, here we go again. Is the camera here? I got a mirror. There we go. Now I look normal. I got to mirror my camera here. I don't know what this is, guys, is whenever I do recordings on my phone, it's always the reverse. But when I go live and the camera faces me on Instagram, it's the right way. This is my right hand. And here I've got to always manually change the settings. I want to say thank you very much to everybody for showing up here tonight. Hello to Gord in Winnipeg. I can see you in the Rumble room. Thanks for being here. And this is, again, Your Questions Answered, part 36. So any questions you have, no matter what chat room you're in, that includes Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, go ahead, ask that question. I'm going to address it. I'll be live for a couple of hours, probably 2 or 3. I'm absolutely sure of that. And I just got some notification here that there's something wrong with the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia. Uncle Chico says, good evening from Leduc, Alberta. Just one question, sir. Many people who've had their rights violated by the Canadian government are actively suing. Are you planning to do the same? Probably. The Canadian government made a lot of mistakes when they kept putting me in prison for nothing. They actually did make a lot of mistakes, and we have found what all those mistakes are. So, of course, I'll be putting my name in for some of that easy cheddar. Why not? I mean, it's tax dollars if you win against the government, but it doesn't change the fact that there won't be a Canadian dollar next year anyway. So who really cares? All right. Someone's telling me to check out the Liberty Bell. So let me see what's going on the Liberty Bell front here. Did someone ruin the Liberty Bell? I certainly hope not. Okay, guys, I'm checking that out. It does not seem to have made the news. So it looks like the Liberty Bell is still okay. Thank God for that. All right, because I hate the idea of seeing any country's history destroyed. Even if it's a country I don't like. I don't like seeing any monuments destroyed. I don't like seeing any historical pieces destroyed, buildings. Like, I just hate the idea of anything historical being destroyed, regardless of country, period. That includes Iran. You know, when the Islamic groups went in there and destroyed all those Christian artifacts, it broke my heart to see that happen. It just absolutely broke my heart to see that happen. All right. If you have any questions, folks, just go right ahead and put them in there. Did the non-confidence vote go through in Canada? Whether it did or didn't, it's not going to get Trudeau out of office. We do not have a no confidence voting system in Canada. Trudeau gets out in a couple of ways, right? The Prime Minister in Canada leaves if he wants to. His party removes him as party leader. He gets voted out or is assassinated or dies of, cancer or something, which we all hope, dearly hope. But that's how the Prime Minister in Canada leaves. There's no other way to get him out. There is no impeachment process in Canada, which is incredibly unfortunate. It needs to come into play. We absolutely have to have that kind of a thing going on. All right. If you're watching in Rumble, everybody, right around here on the screen, you'll see a thumbs up. Could we get everyone hitting that? We've only got 7 likes. Could everyone just start tapping their screen real fast? Let's get the likes going here, everybody. Let's really fire this up. If you're watching this live, my name is Kevin J Johnston. I'm Canada's biggest mouth, #1 podcaster. I had to escape communist Canada to come here to Costa Rica just to be able to podcast. All right. That's who I am. And this is Your Questions Answered, part 36. Any questions that you have, I'm going to answer them for you tonight. And so will Stefanos when he joins shortly. Hey, man, how do I move to Costa Rica from Canada? The easy answer: jump on a plane with your passport and arrive. And tell them you're going to stay for 6 months. Show them a return plane ticket, which I can sell you for $75 because you need to have that. They'll stamp your passport for 6 months, which will act as a visa, and you're in. And then after 6 months are up, go to Panama for a day and then come back in. Getting to Costa Rica is very easy to do. They don't care about much. They really don't. No one searched my bags. Nobody questioned me on anything. When you arrive in San Jose Airport, here's the way that it works. You wait in line. You go see the immigration officer. They speak English. They'll say, name and passport. So, hi, my name is, here's my passport. They'll scan it. They're only looking for criminal records that you have in their country. They don't care about criminal records you have in your country. Then they'll ask you, how long are you staying? 6 months. Why? Vacation? What I told him was, I'm retired and I'm going to spend some money. And he smiles like this. Where are you staying? You got to show them where you're staying. Show them your return plane ticket. Click. There's the stamp. Passport back in your hand. Passport back in your hand. Welcome to Costa Rica. And that is a 6-month stamp and visa. That's that easy for European Union, Australia, New Zealand, even India passport, Mexico passport, United States passport, any country in the EU, Russia, and all the countries in Eastern Europe. Every single one of them. It's that easy to get into Costa Rica. Subsequently, it's also that easy to get into Panama. You just show up and cooperate. The Panamanian government does require that you have a plane ticket that's leaving. But if you have an airline reservation that says you're leaving 6 months from now with a date, a time, and a flight number, that's all you need. And again, I sell those on my website. And they're legal because you're not buying a plane ticket, you're buying a plane reservation. So long as you have a reservation, you are able to stay in the country for up to 6 months at a time. All right, let's check your questions here, everybody. This is your questions answered, part 36. Any questions you have, throw them in the chat right here, and I will address them just as quickly as I possibly can. Yes, I left Canada to go to Costa Rica, and I'm having a great time here. It's a wonderful place. How about Trudeau? What about Trudeau? Everyone hates Trudeau. What about him? Specifically, what about him would you like me to address? Let me check the Facebook room here. All right. Yes. All right. Again, here comes the question. How old am I? 52. Everyone asks that and no one does anything with that information. So 52. There you go. I am 5'2" years old. All right. Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker. Can you drink all the liquor in Costa Rica? I hate liquor, so I don't know. I despise the taste of most alcohols. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a drinker. And it's incredible how many people think that I am. I guess they assume that the jovial smile on my face is due to alcohol. It's not. Whenever I drink liquor, I get tired, and I've got that stupid look on my face. I think about nothing, and I achieve nothing when I'm under the influence of booze. So I'm just not a fan. I don't get how somebody can buy a case of beer and drink the whole thing in one night. I don't get it. And I don't get what the thrill is either. So when you don't like Costa Rica, where will you go? How many other countries are there in the world? 194, is it? Try the next one. There's got to be something I like or love or want to move to permanently. Why am I in Costa Rica? Opportunity. There is no opportunity in Canada at all. There's no jobs in Canada. Anybody who's highly skilled in Canada is always pushed down. They're not hiring white males anywhere in Canada right now. And that's a fact. There's no way to advance my life, and there's no way for me to gain new skills in Canada. So I'm here in Costa Rica gaining new skills and learning the real estate market, learning the international market, learning how the billionaires operate here. There's no billionaires in Canada. They've all left. Anybody with money has left, but there is money here. Did I buy a place here? Not yet, but soon. Soon. I think I know where. It's a gorgeous place. So you have skill. Yes, I have a great number of skills that are widely sought after, just not in Canada. They're all sought after in the international market. That's just, sometimes you got to move on, guys. You got to go where the money is, and you have to go where you are appreciated. Am I a trader? I assume that you are talking about financial trader. I have to be careful how I word that because I don't carry licenses. I'm not interested in that. What I do is the vast majority of my business is either referrals or helping people get into what they need to get into. So, for example, some of the finance work I do in Canada for Canadians is I get their tax problems solved for them. People don't know how to navigate the Canada Revenue Agency, so I save them tens and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars by advising them on what their rights are and how they can do it. If somebody wants to do a financial deal here in Costa Rica, I will be the broker for that deal. Absolutely, I will broker the deal. If somebody wants to do a massive crypto purchase or a crypto fund or a crypto dump, I will broker those deals. So I am a financial broker, but not a financial officer. Steve, no, I can't do any of this stuff living in Canada. Let me tell you how bad it is in Canada. I gave a very simple seminar to 20 people in a town called Leduc, which is just south of Edmonton. It's a town, it's an insignificant speck on the Canadian map. Nobody cares about it. All we talked about is, what is Bitcoin? What is crypto? How does crypto work? 2 days later, I had a threatening letter sent to me by the Trade Commission of the province of Alberta telling me that I'm not allowed to trade in crypto. I said I'm not. They wanted to know the names and phone numbers and work addresses and work phone numbers of everybody who attended. You know, like I would have that information. How dare they even ask? And so I called. Oh, they wanted more. They wanted all my financial information. They wanted to know how much crypto I was trading and so on. So I called my lawyer up and said, what is this? He said, don't worry about it. He wrote the appropriate letter to get rid of them. But the very fact that they're following me around the country to find out if I'm talking about crypto or not is crazy. And to send that kind of a threat to me is crazy. Now, everybody here in Costa Rica uses Bitcoin. Everybody. You can buy vegetables, houses, and cars on Bitcoin here. So why would I not want to know what Bitcoin is? Why would the average person not want to know these things? And why am I not allowed to teach people what that is in Canada? Think about that. Canada is very much a place where you go to die. It's not a place you go to enjoy life. It's not a place that you go to thrive. If you do thrive in Canada, believe me, they will find a way to crush you. Jeff, is there work here in Costa Rica? No. Costa Rica is not a place you come to for jobs. You come here to reinvent yourself. You come here to create a company and get a new life built. The jobs here pay $3 an hour, $5 an hour if you have some skill, $7 an hour if you're highly skilled. You're not going to live off of that. Not now, not ever. So get an online business going in some way and then come here, because if you go to certain parts of San Isidro or the capital city of San Jose, you can live like a king. On the West Coast, you can't live like a king. It's very expensive, but the central part is pretty awesome. And the weather in San Jose is fantastic. The food's good too. Like, the food in this country is fabulous. Very affordable in the smaller towns, and San Jose, not affordable on the West Coast. The United States, if Trump does not win, is absolutely finished. Finished. I'm not lifting a finger for anything less than $18 an hour. Correct. Because you'll make more money on welfare in Canada. If you make anything less than $18 an hour, you'll make more money on welfare. So I wouldn't bother. Are white people accepted there? Yeah, Jake. Everywhere in Costa Rica. But certain towns like San Vito, maybe 1% of the population speaks English, but everybody has Google Translate. In San Isidro, maybe about 5% of the population speaks English. In San Jose, it's about 75, 80% speaks English. On the West Coast, everybody tries their very best to speak English. Gringos, which I am, we're all welcome because gringos bring money. That's why. We're loved here. Don't worry about that. It's good. All righty. Do you have family and friends where I'm at? Friends, yes. Family, no. My family right now are in New York State. So they're doing what they got to do, and I'm doing what I got to do. But I do talk to them every single day. That's what you do. That's, as a father of two, even though they're adults, doesn't matter. I call them every day. Call my kids every single day. And I'm good friends with my ex-wife, so I talk to her quite a bit too. Because you should get along with your ex. It's just, I don't get how people can be married, have kids, pledge allegiance to each other, and then break up and be enemies forever. It's bizarre. Mine was the politest divorce in the history of mankind. It took 15 minutes in the lawyer's office, and then we went and had lunch. Yeah, that's how it should be, man. That's it. All right. So I just got to answer this one guy here. All right. Questions. Let me check the Facebook room. All right. Let me check my email, and I'm going to check the Rumble room as well. And if you're on Twitter, folks, just go ahead and make a comment on the Twitter video, and I will answer the question there. So if you're on Twitter watching, thank you for being here. I'll certainly answer those questions for you. With all the Muslims in Canada, do you think that we could see a Muslim prime minister? And if so, what sort of impact would it have on Canadians? Look no further than the city of London, England. Sadiq Khan is in there. His loyalty is to radical Islam. He has destroyed the city, destroyed it. Whenever Muslims take over, everything falls because they are loyal to their religion and not the country that they live in. Even if it's a Muslim country, they're still loyal to Islam first. So look at London. There's your answer. Let me check the Rumble room for questions here. If you freed yourself from Canada, why are you still concerned what happens here? Because I have a lot of friends and people that I care about in Canada. A lot. Why would I not? You know, I despise the idea that I can help people in Canada, but then not help people in Canada. So Action Force, if I was to not tell people what's going on, if I was not to try to help the Western world out with what I know, that would make me a useless individual. And besides, Action Force, who else is going to do it? Oh, yeah, Mike in the Night does want me on his show. He's going to be calling me shortly here. I'm just going to, you'll hear him. There he is. Mike. There you are. Okay, so right now, everybody, I'm live on Mike in the Night. Can you see me?
No, I can't, sir.
Oh, hold on. Hold on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're live on Mike in the Night here. We have Kevin on here. We can hear him.
And
for some reason we just...
No, you'll see me. There I am. So everybody who's watching me live on freedomreport.ca and TikTok and Facebook and Restream and everywhere else, I'm currently live with Mike Martins on Mike in the Night. You guys got to watch his show. This guy is incredible. Almost as good looking as I am. Love this man. His heart's always been in the right place. He's been podcasting since 2012. Mike, thanks for having me on your show, and thanks for being on my show at the same time. How are you?
I'm doing good, Kevin. Thanks for asking. And we haven't had you on the show in about 5 weeks here on Mike in the Night, so it's good to get an update from you on what's happening in your adventures there in Costa Rica. And there's a bill that's being passed that Canadians need to be aware of. So go ahead, Kevin, unload.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to unload right now. If you guys thought that Canada was a communist country before, well, just wait till you see what happens now. Bill C-63, if you read it, it's in the range of about 140 pages right now. So if you scroll the screen reading it off of the Canada.ca legislative website, it's impossible to get through it. But I did read the whole thing, Mike. And here's what Bill C-63 in Canada is proposing, because obviously they're going to push for this thing to become law. The Online Harms Act will be that you cannot get onto the internet on any platform and tell the truth about what's going on in the world, because someone's going to find that offensive. And if that person finds it offensive, they can anonymously call any police department in the country. So if you broadcasted, Mike, from where you are in British Columbia and someone calls from the east coast of the country, the police in BC will be contacted by the police in Halifax to then tell you that they want you to come into the station and have a little chit chat with them. And a couple of things are going to happen at this point. One is they're going to issue a fine to you immediately to the tune of $50,000. That's the first thing that happens. They'll decide on the spot if they're going to arrest you. Now, if they arrest you, they'll probably hold you overnight. You get a bail hearing, and the charge that you'll be facing will be a possibility of a life sentence, life in jail for telling the LGBTQs that they are unrealistic, unreasonable, violent individuals who are part of a cult. You're not going to be allowed to say that.
There's Antifa, there's BLM, there's so many. I mean, there's thousands of them that we can mention on here. It's a never-ending story.
That's correct. So
we could talk about migrants destroying our country. In and creating insecurity among our youth. We could talk about money laundering and foreign Chinese Communist Party parking their money in Canada and shock troops coming over. Man, this could go on forever.
There are so many problems in Canada, Mike, that would be considered offensive to somebody. So this is what they said in the actual writing of this bill. If you offend somebody online, they want you to do life in prison. What are the odds of someone doing life in prison? Well, slim to none. That's my personal opinion on that, based on what I know of the legal system. But what they do here is, if the penalty is life in prison for misgendering some loser, or for telling some loser that he's a loser, or for pointing out online that there's two sexes, as we all know, what they could do is, when they convict you, the judge is going to have open season to do what he wants. In your sentencing hearing, when life in prison is an option, they'll probably toss you away for 5 years, because 5 years is definitely long enough for everybody in the country to forget about who you are, to forget you. Now, if that is done in a federal prison in Canada, you'll serve between 1/3 and 2/3 of that sentence. That's how it works. So you're going away for a minimum 1.7 years, minimum. That's the minimum you're going away for if this thing passes, plus the $50,000 fine, plus they'll ban you from using the internet for a couple of years as part of your sentence. That's what this is all about, is silencing people. So here's the other thing, Mike. You say a lot of amazing stuff. And what if some loser, some guy who puts on lipstick and says he's a woman, loser, understands that, Mike, you possibly tomorrow, or possibly next week, or possibly in the year 3016, will say something that will offend him. He can call the police anonymously and state that Mike's going to say something offensive next week or next year or next millennium, and the cops will come visit you at your house with an ankle bracelet and a court order that states that you must stay in your house and stay off the internet until your summons can be heard. That is what's going to happen in Canada if Bill C-63 goes through. So will anybody do life in jail for it? No. Will they do 5 years? Yes. Will there be a lot of 5-year sentences handed out? Absolutely there will. Probably to the tune of 10,000. The problem is they have nowhere to put these people at all. That's the problem, because the Canadian prisons are already full of Canadians who have said things or have speeding tickets that they forgot to pay, or have suspended driver's licenses, or got into a bar fight 4 years ago. There's so many Canadians in prison right now for nothing at all. There you go. That's what's happening with Bill C-63. Okay, hold on 1 second. I got a great question here in the TikTok room. Does that bill have any chance of actually passing? Unlikely, but get stressed about it. Here's the problem, everybody. Okay, Mike, in Canada, we have what's called the Senate. And these are a bunch of dottery old fools that get to hold the position of senator for the rest of their lives. Once they're appointed, they could be 105 years of age and still be a senator. They could also have Alzheimer's and still be a senator. So what the Senate's job to do is to look at these bills after they've had 1, 2, and 3 readings in the House of Commons and determine the constitutionality of this bill. So the Senate's job in this case, Mike, would be to say, no, this is unconstitutional and against the charter. So it's 2 strikes. Throw this out. So that thing would then be rewritten and brought forward again at some point, maybe 6-7 months down the road. But the Senate, if they are on leave at that time, then they're not going to be in Parliament to downgrade this thing, to downvote it or otherwise. So Trudeau could pull a stunt like he suspends the Senate for a while and then just makes it law on his own. That could happen. Because when you have a majority government and a coalition with a radical group like the NDP, that can happen. So as you guys, girls, you fine people out there might have heard when Rob Anders, former MP and former Justin Trudeau, not friend, but co-worker, said that there's a 7 out of 10 chance it's going to pass, because most likely he's going to suspend the Senate and get that going. Wow.
Well, So for me, like, this is a pretty big deal. This is an extremely big deal. And they'll find ways around it if they have to fracture this down into multiple bills and get it passed. They'll get this passed because the accountability on the governments are horrendous. The accountability just alone from the last 4 years, Kevin, just the last 4 years alone, the accountability that they're accountable for against us is horrendous. And they're using our tax dollars to build our gallows. And that's what's happening. Now, I want to bring up the fact that I'm just going to use forming an opinion clause. In the town I live in, I opened a little business. And the other business owner didn't like that. So he made entire websites calling me a molester. He made up fake accounts attacking me and my family. He openly admitted to basically calling me all these things and came and open threatened me at my store on video camera and all this stuff. Now, we have all this information. We have about 400 pages high of screenshots, crank calls, all this stuff coming from this one person. And every time I went to the police said it's forming an opinion, that there's nothing they can do about it. And he could say what he wants about you online. You're both adults and just take it. And that's what it is. So for years and years, I've been, illegal cease and desist orders, this one after another, like terrorizing me, calling me a molester, all this stuff, trying to lure children into my store, making this big thing about me. And every time I went to the RCMP, which represents all of Canada, basically said it's forming an opinion. And the last time I went to the RCMP, Kevin, do you know what they told me?
I got to hear this one.
That if I go back there and complain about this guy doing what he's doing to me, that they'll actually charge me for harassing the police.
Yeah, that sounds like the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
So I left. Now I have everything. So now I'm going to continue with Mike in the Night. And if something happens to me, I'm just going to go, well, the RCMP said so. It's forming an opinion. And this is everything that's happened to me. And I'm just mirroring what happened to me and just exposing it and talking about news and current events and what is happening. And that's forming an opinion.
Wow.
There's no way they can come to me and put me in jail for saying things about other people that are blatantly breaking the law, and then it being allowed for 5-6 years nonstop with me and giving the finger to me and my wife when we're walking, or when me and my wife are out, giving us the finger every time he sees us, and the police say that's forming an opinion? Okay. So it's my turn to form the opinion back. They want to come and arrest me. Watch out. Watch right out.
Well, Mike, should they come and get you, I will gladly help you keep the show alive. There's no reason for your amazing show on Saturdays to disappear. And I'm sure that you'd be able to call in to your own show from prison and talk with me, because that's what I had to do when I was running for mayor of Calgary back in 2021. They locked me up during my campaign, and I had to do my own show from prison on the prison phones. And I was only allowed 20 minutes at a time. And each time I phoned, my own show cost me $11. So you imagine the prisons actually make profit off the prisoners who are in there. Like, the prisoners have to pay for phone time. The prisoners have to pay for medication. The prison, I hate the idea of Canadians being prisoners right now in their own country, because Canadian-born people really don't commit crimes. They really don't. Canada's like Japan in that they're too afraid to commit crimes. So the overt politeness actually stops that from happening. So the government has to find new ways to incarcerate Canadians when they write laws like this. So I got a question here in the TikTok room. Is Bill C-63 only for Canadians? What if an American, for example, calls Trudeau a racist or a rapist or whatever else? Well, if you're in the United States, Canadian law does not apply, period. But if you did that from inside of Canada and they could prove that you were there, they would try to detain you before you left the country. That's how it is. There have been many American journalists who are banned from Canada because they have the correct political opinion. We've seen that, like Wild Bill wasn't allowed in. He was going to go to Calgary and give a big speech there about radical Islam and unfettered immigration, and they wouldn't let him in. Period.
And what's his name? David Icke wasn't allowed into New Zealand and Australia.
Isn't that, well, that comes as no surprise.
Stephen Molyneux wasn't allowed in Australia and New Zealand either.
Yeah, those are, Mike, that doesn't surprise me at all, because those are Commonwealth countries, and all the Commonwealth countries out there are doing the same thing. destroying themselves from the inside out by allowing foreigners to run their major cities and allowing foreigners to run their country.
I just brought up an article. You didn't hear it because you were live on your show, but I brought up an article how basically England's 66 representatives in senior leadership are all foreigners.
Yeah, that's how you destroy your country from the inside out.
From the mayor of London to the prime minister to everyone, all foreigners.
Yeah, I see, and that's the problem I have with white people these days. You become a bunch of chicken shits, all of you, cowards, right? You feel guilty for your success. Yep, like white folks were hyper successful in the world, but what happened is the left wing made up lies, and like white people were the only ones that ever held slaves, so white people owe reparations to every race under the sun. No, blacks were enslaving blacks well before whites even knew Africa existed. Islam started the international slave trade. All right, blacks had the
with Ethiopians.
Yeah.
With Ethiopians, they were trading Ethiopians as slaves, and the Quran refers to them as raisin heads.
Isn't that incredible? All right, and no one knows this stuff. No, white folks got into the international slave trade. How many years, Mike? Was it 900 years later? And then white people said, this slavery thing's not really all that good an idea. Let's ban it. So white people were the first ones to ban slavery and incorporate former slaves into their economies to try to build their countries up. So if you're today not a slave, thank the white man. And no one talks like I do. Everyone's afraid to talk like I do. Everyone's afraid to make the commentary that I'm just making here. And I went to town on this, and I'm going to say this again tonight. I said this last night, and Mike, I'm going to say it again on your show and on TikTok and over here on my show, is that the human race right now is in the midst of another schism. We schismed before when we went from some type of ape into hominids and or Homo erectus, I believe it was, and the Neanderthals. The Neanderthals had smaller craniums. What happened? They died out. They had more ribs. They were stronger, smaller brains, died out. And as it stands, with all this unfettered immigration, we have millions, it'll be tens of millions of people coming into the Western world who have intelligence quotients of less than 63, who are now going to start breeding all over the place and producing dumb kids, really stupid kids who will never learn anything beyond grade 2 educations because they can't, and who will never produce and will just end up being violent criminals. That's what's going to happen here. So when this takes place, everybody, which has happened in Africa and the Middle East and Bangladesh and Northern India and all these places around the world, there's a reason why those countries suck. Is because the population's too stupid to not suck. So the human race is going to have to make a decision at some point. Do we preserve intelligence quotients? Yes or no? Do we actually want to be here as a species in 3,000 years? If that's going to be the case, then we have to make sure that everybody with an IQ over 120 is breeding. And let me tell you the three races right now that are the highest IQs. Ready for this, Mike? White, Japanese, South Korean. And guess who has the lowest birth rates right now? White, Japanese, South Korean. The South Koreans have a birth rate of less than 0.75 kids per family. The Japanese are at 1.2 and whites are at like 1.3. It's ridiculous to think that these three races that have achieved the most in the world and have the most potential are producing the least and getting the least done in reference to breeding, self-preservation, preservation of culture, and the whole nine yards. And I'm the only white guy that talks like this. Yeah, Mike.
Keep talking. I'm going to grab some water. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike, no problem at all. So we are just not producing. And for some reason, with all the success that white people have had, white people sit around looking for ways to feel guilty about this. Why? I don't feel guilty about this. Every single race on the planet and every creed and culture and faith and religion and nationality have all practiced slavery in some way. They have all practiced colonialism in some way. They've all gone to war with their neighbors in some way. And sometimes the superior battle tactic and the superior intellect is going to win. And Mike, that is what's happened with white people, is they developed superior battle tactics and were able to defeat everyone else that they came across. The Spanish defeated the Aztecs and the Mayans. But here's the other thing too, is that the Mayans and the Aztecs had really stupid cultures, Mike. The Aztecs, when they opened up their capital city of Tenochtitlan, they cut out the hearts of, ready for this, 30,000 of their own citizens. They just cut their hearts out, threw the bodies down the pyramid, and threw the hearts into a fire pit with some stupid chant going, and throwing their own citizens' hearts into the fire pit. There was so many bodies, Mike, at the base of the pyramid. The only solution they had to get rid of them was to A, burn them, and B, feed them to the crocodiles. How stupid are these cultures? That's the problem with low intelligence quotients. The Aztecs and the Mayans were able to build pyramids because they had a very small, like 1-2% of their population understood physics. So they got the slaves and the stupid to do all the hard labor for them to get these things built, but they didn't have any foresight. When the Aztecs and the Mayans were turning all of the trees in their areas into ash so they could make paint to paint their pyramids, they didn't think, oh, wait a second, the trees hold the soil together. They knew how to build pyramids, but they didn't understand soil technology. They didn't know how to keep their soil fresh and keep their water fresh and so on. So when the Spaniards showed up with muskets and superior battle tactics, of course they were going to lose. And they did.
Well, it was a good thing that the Spanish did show up, because the Aztecs and the Mayans would have wiped themselves out of extinction on their own.
Yep, they did. Well, they almost did before the Spanish showed up. And the Spanish realized that these people, they feared all these really ridiculous gods that they had created. And they were so bent on sacrificing themselves that the Spanish said, let's just sit back and see what happens. They thought it was barbaric, but they sat back and they watched the Aztecs and the Mayans cut each other's hearts out and throw the bodies down the stairs. And they thought, you know what, if we just sit down for a couple of months, they're not, like, all their soldiers are going to be dead. And they realized also that if they capture the kings, that the people would do whatever the Spanish said, right? So that's just how it is. White people do not have to feel bad about this. The Spanish finished off what the Aztecs were already doing. And white people kind of finished the job that Native Indians were doing in North America, because Native Indians, Mike, were killing each other for decades, centuries, millennia prior to the white man showing up. They would move into an area and strip it of every resource, kill every animal, and then kill each other. And then find some other clan, steal from them, steal their women, rape each other. It was sick what they did. White man actually brought civilization to Canada and the United States. Don't ever sit there and think for a moment that Indians getting high on peyote put them in touch with the earth. It doesn't. Their culture was stupid. It sucks. All right. So also keep this in mind, is that every culture, whenever they face off against another culture, they always think they're superior. So when finally the white man had enough of being raped and killed and pillaged by the Indians, they decided to bring in the armies from Europe. And they had battle formations with the muskets. So they'd be walking like this, 1,000 men, 6 men wide, 1,000 men deep. And the Indians were laughing, saying, look how stupid this is. So let's fire an arrow and kill how many? 5 or 6 soldiers. They turn around with their muskets, boom, volley fire, where a bunch of men would get down on their knees and reload. The guy standing up, boom. The guy standing up dropped to their knees. The guys in front would load and shoot. Like, just the superior battle tactics wiped out these stupid cultures. Sometimes genocide is the answer. All right. Here's an example of genocide being the answer right now, is the dodo bird. When the Portuguese were trying to settle and try to get something going in India and Sri Lanka and places like that, they were actually trying to bring civilization to uncivilized parts of the world. The dodo bird was eating every crop, defecating everywhere, urinating everywhere, having thousands of babies that would do the exact same thing. The bird's meat was awful. The bird actually was somewhat toxic to eat. So they actually went to war with these birds. They sent 3 ships over from Spain and Portugal with big powder horn muskets, the muskets that stretch out at the front, and they absolutely annihilated this ridiculous animal. And then what happened? They could grow food. And then now Indians are actually called Hindus because the country was called Hindustan at the time. It was never called India. And I think they call it, is it Bhutan? is the actual name for it. Is it Bhutan or is it Bharat? It's
the Portuguese were the first to name it Hindustan. Hindustan was, if you look at the Portuguese maps from the 1500s, they named it Hindustan. And then it's the other name you were thinking is what they called, But no, the Spanish did not go to India. It was the Portuguese.
You're right. It's the Portuguese. They wiped out those stupid birds completely, and I'm okay with that, because when something no longer has any value of any kind, well, what the hell is it here for? If it's getting in everyone's way, if it's getting in nature's way, like the birds' feces were killing every plant, like food or not food. It was just killing everything. And we've seen the same thing with Canada geese. That stupid thing. Like the word Canada goose comes from what they call modern Latin. So it doesn't mean Canadian goose. It just means Canada goose. Modern Latin is where that name comes from. These birds taste like crap. I've tried it. It's awful. You can't eat them. All right. So they destroy every park. They destroy every golf course. Their feces carries mites. They're as bad as raccoons for the amount of bacteria and bugs they have on their bodies. And somehow they made it to the protected animals list. Let's just genocide that stupid species and get rid of them so that we can all live in peace. Because even seagulls have a value. Seagulls will go to garbage dumps and eat garbage and then convert garbage into crap. But these geese, they don't even eat garbage. Lord knows what they're eating, but they turn everything into garbage. I'm okay with the complete genocide of that. And when there's a really bad ideology out there, a really bad idea, I want to see that idea completely destroyed. And in some cases, we as human beings have to make that decision to say, this idea is never going to go away until we genocide the idea. And we just like jettison it from our planet. I don't have feelings about bad ideas other than, let's get rid of those bad ideas. Let's get rid of bad politicians. Let's stop all this unfettered immigration from all these.
What we're doing is just calling out what's happening, connecting the dots across the Commonwealth, like we've been doing here for many years on the show, and getting the calls in from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, South Africa, United States of America, Canada, and we're seeing the same formulation of unaffordability, housing unability, people, wages not keeping up with the cost of living. We're seeing the same thing. And the one thing we're seeing more than ever across the Commonwealth is the migrant invasion that's happening in Canada, in the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. We're seeing this migrant invasion that's destroying the fabric of Canadian. I have no business in Canadian politics. I'm a Portuguese citizen. I have no business. I want Canadians to run Canada. I want like-minded, conservative Canadians that want to leave us alone and allow us to practice our religion in peace, go on social media in peace, go to work, stop taxing us to death, and just leave us alone. Just let us live our lives. And that's all we want. That's all I'm asking for. And when I'm out there calling out some of these people and some of these losers on what they're doing to us and how they're destroying the fabric of our society, we shouldn't be punished for that. That is very anti everything to go against someone that's calling out something or questioning something that may do harm to them or their family. That's double, triple, quadruple whammy.
Yeah, no, Mike, I agree with you. Canadians should be running Canada. And everybody who says, well, you stole that land. No, it wasn't stolen. Always remember that when white man showed up, red man started killing white man. White man fought back. There was a war. White man won that war because of superior technology and battle tactics, superior ways of thinking. That's what it's a war. And someone loses in a war. That's just how it is. The only time that there is never really a winner is when you have what they call a Pyrrhic victory, when you've won the war, but you've lost so much in infrastructure and money and manpower and so on that it doesn't matter that you won. So both parties lose. That's not a very common thing. But the red man lost. That's it, lost. And then got reserves and then got free money from the white man forever. So, I mean, white people are pretty good that way. We'll kick your ass and then give you everything you ever needed. Here you go. Yeah, sorry about that war. We won. We're better, but here's some free money. You don't have to achieve anything anymore for the rest of your lives. What a ridiculously stupid idea that native reserves were, period. It should have been integrate or we'll toss you out. That's it. Integrate or go. We are beyond the ability now for us to even have that kind of a theorem in our country, integrate or leave, because there's never going to be anybody in Canada who's got my mindset, Mike, or your mindset, who's actually in a position of power to do mass deportations of everybody, to do what needs to be done. Sometimes rights.
I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
We're going to call it the Portuguese deportation law. In 2007, remember we discussed this.
We did.
Go. We discussed this.
Do it again. Tell us again.
In 2007, Canada decided it didn't like Portuguese people anymore. So they mass deported Portuguese people from the city of Toronto, Oshawa, Ontario, Oakville, Ontario, Mississauga, Ontario, Hamilton, Ontario, and London, Ontario. They deported 47,000 Portuguese families. The Canadian government actually had immigration officers at the high schools, Archbishop Romero Catholic Secondary School, at Black Creek, Western Road. They had immigration officers at the gymnasium holding all the Portuguese students back and waiting for their parents to come in with documentation to make sure they were allowed to be in Canada. Portuguese came into Canada in 2002, 2003, 2004 to help build the infrastructure. And a new government, a conservative government, came into play a few years down the road and said, we don't want Portuguese anymore. We want to deport them all. So their path to citizenship was taken away.
Right.
And they deported 47,000 people. They went to their homes to grab them, and they didn't even lock their front doors and left their TVs on when they took them and deported them. That the Portuguese president asked politely if the Canadian government will allow them to go home and get a bag, like a bag of clothing, because they're arriving in Portugal with nothing, and they're arriving at the airport with no money, no wallet, nothing on them. And the article's still up where the president of Portugal asked. So Canada does have the laws and the stuff in power to do what they did to the Portuguese. If they wanted to deport 47,000 whatever tomorrow, they could do that because they already put in these are not laws we're making up to be draconian against these people we don't like. It's just, it's already in place. So it's not like me and Kevin are concocting these ideas to deport people. It's already happened to the Portuguese. It's already put there. But don't bother looking up any articles about it, Kevin, because once Trudeau got the bailouts went to the media companies, all those articles disappeared. But I still have the links to them. I have the links to the articles.
You know what? Send those to me, Mike, because I will be making some videos about that. And I'm being asked here, what would I do first if I was Prime Minister? Holy crap. I would immediately enact the Emergencies Act, specifically and solely for the purpose of being able to force through a couple of new laws. Bounty hunting would become a law if I was in office, and it would be high prices. Like $500,000 for Justin Trudeau, $350,000 for Chrystia Freeland. And if we know that they're outside the country, I would make it international. Let's raise that to $1 million US. What's that? Remember, like Noriega, there was a $10 million bounty on his head from the American. Yeah, I would do the same thing. I put bounties out there. I would make sure that everybody who is an enemy to the country of Canada, if I was in charge, had a bounty on their head, and that's dead or alive. And the whole body doesn't have to come back, just the head. That's it. We'll test it for DNA. Yep, there it is. Here's your money. Go get some more.
And Manuel Noriega wasn't even as, mean to his people like Trudeau is.
No, I would have taken Noriega over Trudeau any day. I truly would. And there's a guy you all should look up, is Manuel Noriega, and that crazy story of him. He had to barricade himself inside of an embassy, was it? And the Americans Americans sat outside waiting for him. Just another scapegoat. That's all it was. And America had no business being involved with that one.
CIA scapegoat. Of course, America has no business, but they're everywhere, right? They got their hands in every pie.
Yeah, they do. And it was the same idea with Muammar Gaddafi. They had no reason to go into Libya whatsoever.
Absolutely no reason.
You want to talk here? Look, Mike, this is leadership, okay? This is the type of leadership I'm talking about.
Let me tell you, and then you add on, okay? That guy gave a reward or a bounty or money to families when they first marry. He gave 30% down on your first home if you bought a house. Gasoline in Libya was like 13 cents a liter. He also gave government grants to people when they bought their first car. He gave grants to people that went overseas to college, and they gave him a bonus grant if they came back with their expertise in overseas college to rebuild or make it a better place. That guy helped so many people. He was the godfather of irrigation and bringing farming into Libya and in agriculture to its high and mighty level that it was at. And he also told the French to F off, and because he wasn't paying protection money to the French anymore, because the French did nothing for the Libyans. And he basically was ready to create a gold-backed dinar currency and unite Africa under one wealth. And basically, America took offense to that and basically went to take him out. Hillary, Ronald Clinton went there to take him out.
Okay, so you got everything except for a couple very small points. If you had 3 children or more in there, he would pay your house off. That was another thing that he did in Libya. And Libya under Muammar Gaddafi was the only country in the world with a 100% literacy rate. Now that's leadership. There's footage that I saw. There's is it Loose Change was the name of it? I think the documentary where you've got Gaddafi is in his non-bulletproof limousine. It was it was a used limousine that he bought from some guy in the United States. Okay. And the footage of him, he would stand inside the thing, waving with double arms like that to all of his people, blowing kisses and whatnot. His people would chase him. They would throw roses at him. They'd throw petals at him. They were screaming, "I love you." They would do everything. His people loved him. Muammar Gaddafi was a true leader. He loved his country. He loved his people. That is the kind of leadership that we would need to get Canada out of this particular issue. Now, Mike, if I was going to be prime minister, I can tell you with the Emergencies Act, I'd put bounties on all the heads of all the liberals that were in charge. I would deliberately collapse the Canadian dollar, and I would just wipe the debt out. I'd go to zero and have a brand new dollar that was minted in cash, brand new designs, cash. I would get the whole country circulating cash again. And we would give people exactly 60 days, get your cash, get your coins, get your money, get everything else, trade it in at the nearest bank, because after 60 days, it has no value, period. That is what we would have to do. I would also do mass deportations. I would deputize the better part of 50,000 Canadians who are really, really good with guns and tell them, round everybody up. We have very, very simple tests to see if you're here legally or not, and round them up, get them on trains, get them to Halifax, and get them the fuck out. Pardon my French, but that's exactly what I would do. It would be a mass deportation done as forcefully as possible in a fashion that no one's ever done before. I would not be telling my citizens to go kill foreigners, but they're out. You're gone. You're not going to be the ones.
The Portuguese Deportation Act. Just follow everything with the vehicle road blitzes where they were pulling over cars and asking people if they were Portuguese, going to high schools, holding back the children that spoke Portuguese, going to workplaces and doing raids against people that spoke Portuguese. Just follow that. It's already in law. It's already in place. And if you go to ChatGPT and ask about that, it actually brings up a ton of stuff, by the way, that the media took away, but ChatGPT still brings it up. Guys, this is what Kevin's talking about. I'm going to bring it up. It's a documentary I did here about Gaddafi. It's in Portuguese in my Portuguese channel, and it was done 10 years ago. And this is what Kevin's talking about. There's Gaddafi right there riding his in the back of his I think it's like a Toyota or something, but it's through the sunroof, and he's cheering. There he is right there going through Libya. I think that's Tripoli. He's there in downtown Tripoli, and he's just everybody on the sides of the street chanting for him. And open air president. I called him the open air president. There he is right there, Gaddafi. This is a documentary I made 10 years ago, people. I've been on social media in multiple languages trying to spread the truth for so many years for you folks.
Right.
So there it is right there. It's called The True History of Libya in Portuguese.
Yes. Okay. So, and I'm getting some commentary here alluding to me being a racist individual. I'm just telling you guys this. Every race has got the right to exist the way that they want to exist. Okay. It's that simple. And me making statements like white people developed the fastest and the most technologies in the shortest period of time than any other race going. That's a fact. It's an out here. Here's my argument, Mike. I said this last night. I'm going to say it again now on your show. Is that Damascus has been populated consistently for over 10,000 years. The Guinness Book of Records publishes that fact every single year. You figure that a city that's had populations living in it for 10,000 years would have 3-mile tall skyscrapers and trains and hover trains and all that stuff, like just all over the place. You figure that, right? But it doesn't. It barely has a sewer system. It's a dirty, filthy pit. There's rats everywhere in this city. But then white culture comes along, builds all of Europe, builds cathedrals, builds sewer systems, like builds all this, and then builds up United States of America. New York, Mike, has got 6,400 skyscrapers in it, subways, water for 14 million people. These are
by the Irish. The Irish predominantly built New York City, Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, and areas like that was predominantly Irish immigration, Irish strong hands that built that part of America.
So what I'm talking about here is European/white culture. Look at what it built. Look at what it built. United States and Canada, phenomenal places up until the last 10 years from now. Phenomenal places. And you know why, Mike? It's because we're allowing all these ridiculously stupid cultures coming in and ripping everything apart. Ripping it apart. And then as white men, as white and you are European, we can't point that out. No, it doesn't work that way. I am pointing it out. Period. Is that there is something inherently wrong with cultures around the world who show up in places like Europe, Canada, United States, Australia, and the first inkling they have is to rape, steal, kill, and destroy. There's something wrong with that mindset. And that mindset does not belong in North America, does not belong in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and does not belong in the modern world. But
someone says that the Italians and Portuguese also. Italians did work and built a lot of New York too. I'm sorry, I forgot them. I didn't leave them out on purpose. And the Portuguese did more of New Bedford, Fall River, and other parts of Massachusetts. But it was predominantly Irish for New York City, and Italians too. But it was predominantly the Irish. So yeah.
Yeah, and I got told here that CSIS should watch me. They do. I've seen my CSIS file. It's 5 inches thick, and it's just CSIS watching my show, transcribing my show, and then sending reports into the RCMP saying I'm no threat to anybody, right? Because I don't walk around picking fights with people. I've always been the one to encourage people, don't get in the bar fights. Like, don't waste your time.
Hold on a second, Kevin.
Yeah.
You're not the type of guy that would go out of his way to a local airport, to an international airport, go to a local bar in the airport and randomly pick a fight with somebody you don't know. You're not that kind of guy.
I'm not that kind of guy, brother. I have no interest in sitting down for a delicious cup of coffee like I'm drinking right now, and then spilling that coffee because I'm in a fist fight with some idiot in a bar. No, thank you. Look, I was a disc jockey in bars from age 18 to about 21, 22. And I saw a lot of bar fights. And you know, the only thing that a bar fight does is it ruins everyone's evening. Like, do I really want to be the guy that walks into a place and wrecks everyone's day? Forget that, man. And also, like picking a fight in a bar is ridiculous from the standpoint of what if the guy's like a trained killer, trained boxer, like former Navy SEAL, maybe a Spetsnaz? Like, what if he's any of those? You're dead over what? He stepped on your foot? If he steps on your foot and he says sorry, hey, brother, no problem. And that's it. As soon as there's an acknowledgement of a wrongdoing, I consider the matter closed. And as soon as the guy wants to be a dick about it and say, yeah, fool you, man, I still consider the matter closed. Who cares? I'm not going to let that crap affect me in any particular way. And road rage is another one, Mike. My CSIS file even says that I have never exhibited signs of road rage. I'm not getting out of my car to fight you. It's retarded, man. For what? Like, the actions that we all take should benefit us in some way. And getting into fights, especially with everybody having dashboard cameras now, is the most ridiculous thing you can do. Because you're going to get out, you're going to punch someone. And what if you are a good fighter and you knock the guy out and he hits his head in the ground and dies? Manslaughter. 6 years minimum. Bye-bye. For what? Because he gave you the finger? Like, what does this gesture, what power does this gesture have? All right. Here, like, what does this mean to you? How about over here on Rumble? Mike, what does this mean? Why do people get so upset? Like, what is this? Right?
There's a guy in town that does that to me every time he sees me, every time he sees my wife, or every time he sees my kids. He does that to me every time. And you know what the RCMP is right about?
Hit me.
It's forming an opinion.
Well, I'm thinking that, like, there's no actual word for this. All right. So some people say it's FU, and some people say it's stick it, and some people say this is supposed to go up your ass. And some people say that this is the worst thing in the world that you can do because it has no meaning. Well, then if you're going to say it has no meaning, then it has no meaning, because the Brits do it this way. All right. In England, it's dos dedos mi amigos. 2 fingers, my friend. All right. Like, what is the magic in this gesture? Or this one? Or this one? Right? Why do we care about this stuff?
What about this one, Kevin?
Yeah, I used to see that one too. My father would do that from time to time. I kept shaking my head. Like, why? Why are you lowering yourself to this level? Because when you start doing this shit, what you've done is you've allowed someone else to control your emotional state.
I was doing that in early episodes of Mike of the Night, 2020, early 2020. We were doing this all the time. Every time I'd see homosexual or Fauci or Trudeau or Jacinta Ardern from New Zealand, I'd get so angry that they're pulling the wool over their eyes and using the mainstream media to create a mass deception so people will take these damn vaccines that would ultimately end up killing them. And it's really, really sad. And I did my best to get the word out and warn people. When people were telling people, trust the science, I'm like, F you want to take it, go F yourself. You go take it if you want to take it. Don't tell me what to take. And I have a clip from 2021 to saying that, and late 2020, we were just really, really going down hard on people that were listening to this mumbo jumbo from the mainstream media. And then stroke season is here. Now people are dying of strokes. You were busy with your show when I was live, but I read an article in Canada, okay, that a man got a stroke in BC driving. While driving through the Massey, I think it was the Massey Tunnel or some tunnel there in BC towards Tawasin, and he got a stroke and he pulled over. He barely pulled over. His whole right side of his body is paralyzed. The paramedics drove up, got to his vehicle, and told him to drive himself to the hospital and left him alone. The article's up. It's on Mike of the Night. It's on CTV reporting it.
Holy crap. And CTV actually reported that. I can't believe it.
They did.
Wow.
Report it. We covered it here tonight on Mike of the Night. And then last week we covered about the woman having a baby in a parking lot in Canada, in Quebec, because the hospital doors were locked. And she had a baby outside in the parking lot.
Okay. Well, now you know why I'm talking about the fact that I don't want to go to any hospitals in Canada, Mike. I really don't. I don't want Canadian healthcare. Now that I've had a chance to see how good healthcare here is here in Costa Rica, why would I want to get healthcare in Canada? You know, dentistry here is unbelievable. And it's like $45 for a cleaning and x-rays, the whole bit. And you're in and you're out fast. It's remarkable here. You know, Brazil is 20 years ahead of Canada in medicine. We're being mocked. Canada is being mocked by every country all over the world, Mike. And it's really sad. And so someone just says Kevin's wanted by the FBI. Probably not. I'm not an American citizen. I haven't been to the United States for how long? 2019, I think it was. The FBI doesn't give a crap about me, boys. I'm just not that important. You know who they be watching is Ben Shapiro, not me. Right. Yeah. For sure. But CSIS, once my podcast got to 300,000 viewers a night, the RCMP started actually watching every video and transcribing every video. And there was a couple of really stupid people that were spending between $300 and $500 an hour for lawyers to watch my show and transcribe everything. Unbelievable. How sad are some of the uber rich in Canada if they're watching my show specifically to find something to be upset by?
That's crazy, dude. That's a bigger waste of money than I did on like souping up one of my cars I had back in the day. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of this loser named Chip Worthington. We don't need trolls like Chip Worthington the third because it's not even a real photograph. Yeah. Trolls go bye-bye. I'm simultaneously, Mike, broadcasting on TikTok on my phone and then through StreamYard onto Rumble, Facebook, DLive, Twitter, like multiple accounts all over the place. The trolls only show up on TikTok. And it used to be really bad a year ago, but we've actually kind of done all right. We get only one a show now, which is wonderful. By the way, Mike, are you on TikTok, perchance?
I'm shadow banned on TikTok. I just did an earlier censorship video on the show, and I can't get more than 3 views on the video anymore. I'm finished. I'm completely toast on TikTok.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question, Mike. I'm going to let you take this one first. It's like people are pissed off all the time. What the hell is everybody mad about? Thank you, Trish. Go ahead. Mike, you're up.
I can tell you what everyone's mad about.
Yep.
We made the video 8 years ago, and 7 years ago, and 5 years ago, and 3 years ago. Everyone's pissed off because they are severely over leveraged. They can't afford anything. And now that interest rates are going up, hyperinflation's kicking in, your money buys you nothing, and you work your ass off for money that they print out of thin air to pay bills on interest and VIG that they miraculously decide what you have to pay back on it just to maintain a basic lifestyle is almost next to impossible. To live like we did in Kevin in 1982, 1983, to live that kind of lifestyle today, we couldn't afford to anymore.
No.
Because living that kind of lifestyle is unaffordable. Owning a home, paying it off in 5 years. People are pissed off because they're over leveraged. They were lied to. They took the vaccine. They were lied to. They took the vaccine. They trusted the science. They trusted all the bullshit. And the college, the student loans, and the degrees got them nowhere. And now that's why everybody is pissed off. And they don't trust anybody anymore. And men abandoned women because women have been programmed for the last 30, 40 years to not need men anymore, and now it's coming back to bite them in the ass. Man, I can tell you why people are pissed off for the next 3 hours if I have to.
Oh, but sure. Yeah. And I agree with all of that, especially the feminist movement that just absolutely wrecked the family, just destroyed it. I keep covering this all the time because it's so amusing. When I'm on TikTok, and I just want to relax and watch a couple of fun videos, for some reason, Mike, TikTok, I select politics. That's all I want to see on TikTok. I don't want to see nose picking. I don't want to see toilets flushing. And I don't want to see women crying about the fact that they're lonely. But this stuff comes up in my feed all the time. And now it's on Instagram too. And now it's on Facebook too, where these videos, yeah, dude, it's these videos of single women and they're crying and there's sad music going on. And the words above them saying, am I really so bad? I'm single at 42. Well, I don't know. Maybe you are. Maybe.
Well, women at a young age were sold a Hollywood lifestyle, and that lifestyle does not exist. And unfortunately, they were bought and paid for into that lifestyle, demanding what they should get out of a man. And men have given up. A couple of decades ago, they've just lost faith and have abandoned the whole situation. I'm lucky I met a woman from the Philippines, again, that is, Catholic, home, family oriented, and slept on a dirt floor for 10, 15 years of her life. And her father was a police chief of the Philippines police, right? So she grew up under machismo, male chauvinism. So she was basically growing up with her father telling her, respect your father, respect your husband, do what your husband tells you, be a good wife. She grew up under that mandate. And it's been heaven for me because I never order her. She just does everything because it's nature. She knows what she has to do to maintain a strong pillar in the household here and maintain a strong family unit here. She already knows, and she's already programmed for that. And she takes care of everything along those lines. And I'm very grateful and very blessed, hand to God, that I have my wife.
Okay, so the destruction of the family unit is also one of the major factors as to why we are where we are in the Western world. Feminism is a stupid idea. Look, let me just come out and tell everybody what's really going on here, okay? Prepare for, I know, like there's middle fingers coming, I can tell. I don't give a shit anymore. I'm too old to care, all right? Do you know why I don't care anymore, Mike? I'm going to be 53 years old this year, all right? It's apparent that, all the color in my hair is gone. Even my chest hair is white now. So it doesn't matter, right? I've had kids. They're adults now. I got them to adulthood successfully. I'm proud of that. I had my 40 whatever lovers. And now I am rebuilding my life on the international scale, and I'm having a good time doing it. Doesn't change the fact that my homeland, the United States, all these places I love are completely backwards because the family unit's been destroyed. Why? Feminism. All right. For a woman to think for a second that she can beat a man in anything physical is moronic. Even things like chess and checkers and whatnot, the male brain is wired for 3D spatial thinking. Women are wired for 2D non-spatial thinking. 250,000 years of evolution are not going to be rewritten because the feminists say so. They can rot, every single one of them. You ladies out there, I've never come across a woman that I couldn't beat in the thinking game or the outfoxing game. You can't do it because I'm certainly prepared to go as far as I need to. I'm prepared to get hit by cars to win whatever it is that I'm competing with you against. I'm prepared to work 18, 20 hours a day, sleep on the dirt floor, like you said there, Mike, wake up and start all over again. Women are not prepared to do that because their brains are not wired for it. Let me tell you what else we screwed up on. That whole women's suffrage movement. Do you know what you ladies really screwed up with that? Women were not considered persons under the law, but they were considered people under the law when they were trying to get person status. Person status simply means that you're now part of the corporation, which is the country. And that means you yourself are now a corporation, and you yourself are going to have to start working and paying taxes. That's what it meant. You really fucked up. You should not have asked for the vote, because you ladies out there who are struggling to make ends meet because you can't keep relationships intact and you can't keep a job that's worthwhile, you can blame your four sisters on that one. That's all their fault. Women should never have wanted the right to vote at all. Do you know why we're also in the mess we're in right now, ladies? Because women voted, but the majority of voters for Justin Trudeau were women. Do you know why? Because he had nice hair. He's so cute. Oh my God. That's a broken brain is what that is. And that's not men thinking that way. Not even gay men were looking at Trudeau saying, I'm going to vote for this lunatic because he's got hot hair. That's not what men do. Even the fags don't think that way, Mike. Women do. Now, the other problem is we've got more than 35% of politicians in Canada are women. Women are not leaders. I would never follow a woman into battle or into a dangerous situation and count on her leadership skills to help me survive. It's not ever going to happen because the female brain isn't wired for it. It's okay to admit these things. Ladies.
I want to admit something too.
Yeah.
When I get on an airplane, I want to make sure my pilot is white. His name is Bob, and he's over 45, and he's not vaccinated.
Yeah. I'll settle for Richard, Stephen, Paul. Yeah, those are good names. But if I get onto a plane and there's two female pilots in there, nope. If there's one, nope, I'm getting off the plane. If there's a black woman flying the plane, nope, I'm gone. I'll tell you that right now. I am out the friggin' door. I am not interested in pacifying women because they want to be pacified. It doesn't matter that you want to be pacified. No, thank you, gentlemen, ladies. It's not going to happen. In no way, shape, or form should I put my life in danger or put my life on hold or reduce my skill set or reduce my talent level to appease a woman who doesn't understand what competition is. You ladies want the high-paying jobs, but you don't want to work the hours to do it. You ladies want the successful career, but you're not prepared to sacrifice everything that a man would sacrifice to get there. You ladies are not willing to do these things. You're not able to do these things. Too bad. So the next thing that we got to do, men, if we want our country back, is forcibly remove every woman from leadership roles right now. You cannot be politicians. You can't be leaders. You can't be district managers. You cannot be presidents of corporations. Let's remove the emotion from decision-making, and you'll see the economy overnight turns around just like that. Here's my best example ever is that when I worked for Hewlett-Packard in the United States, I had to deal with a lot of complaints from my staff, over 100 complaints. And I started going through them, trying to figure out why specifically me as a district manager for New York City, why do I have to put up with all these complaints? What the F is going on here? And then I had to look at it. And it turns out there was one out of the 100 plus complaints there were, one came from a guy, and it was because there wasn't enough supply. I think it was either toner or ink. There wasn't enough of it in the store to run proper demo days. That's all. But the other ones, well, the manager looked at me too long. He's creepy. He's upsetting. He's this, he's that. And it was just the women who were filing these complaints because they didn't feel comfortable. Too bad. So I fired them. Like, you're costing the company money and you're stopping me from advancing up the corporate ladder. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done. I don't have time to babysit 40-year-old women who are uncomfortable with their surroundings. If you're so uncomfortable with your surroundings, stay home. Don't work in the field that should be dominated by men anyway. Mike, go ahead.
I'm just listening to you go. I was talking straight before you came on, so it's nice to hear you go. Kevin, we're going to be wrapping up into an hour conversation here. I want to get other callers on the show here tonight on Mike in the Night.
Of course.
Do you want to? We're going into 1 hour here. Do you want to wrap up and have a good few final words for us here tonight?
Of course. Listen, everybody. The countries of Canada, the United States, and some of the European countries might be lost, but that doesn't mean that you have to be as well. So I'm going to ask all of you right now to please work on you. All right. If you have family, hold them tighter, spend more time with them. Mike, you got a pair of boys there. You told me to go F myself the other day when I asked you to be on my show because you wanted to spend more time with your boys. You know what I said to you? Like this. You know what you did? You apologized. Don't you ever fucking apologize for that again. You'd say, Kevin, piss off. Hanging with my kids. Done. And you should all out there be doing.
I didn't tell you to piss off.
Well, you did politely. That's okay. I'm making a point. Tell people to piss off. All right. Spend time with your children, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your lover, your mom, your dad. If your mother's still alive, phone her. As soon as the show is over, phone her. Hey, Ma, thanks for giving birth to me. All right. I know how painful that can be. Hey, Ma, thanks for the peanut butter sandwiches. Ma, I love you. All right. Do these things. Just because society is going to pot doesn't mean that you have to go with it. This is the point now where you can actually shine in a god-awful world. Improve yourself. Start reading books that were written before 1990. Go to the gym. If you can't afford the gym, I get that. That's not on you. That's on society. Jog, calisthenics, body weight exercises. Watch videos on how to clean guns and load guns. Learn how to use them. Watch videos on how to use knives. Watch self-improvement videos. Change your diet for the better. But damn it, do not let the sadness of the world make you sad as well. All right? This is time for all of us watching right now to begin to shine. There's nothing wrong with self-improvement when the world's going down the toilet, because at the other end of it, when there's that glimmer of hope and things begin to turn around, you're going to be 25 steps ahead of everybody else who will think and realize too late that things have begun turning around. So just be better than the average. Mike, everybody watching right now, this is Mike Martin. I know you can't see him here and here, but you can see him here. And Mike Martin, God bless you, man. Canada is better for having you around. You've been doing this now for what, 13, almost 14 years now. And you've not been wrong on anything yet. So everybody who's watching.
I have been wrong on a few things. It's just the timing of the things. I haven't been right on the timing.
Why are you correcting me? I'm telling you you're the best, and you're trying to tell me that you're not. Fungu, huh? Listen, everyone, support this guy. And everybody who's watching me, understand that Mike in the Night, he goes live every single Saturday. Mike, what time?
6 p.m. Pacific time.
6 p.m. So that's 9 p.m. Toronto time. He goes live every Saturday. It's a call-in show. Mike is the best. Support this guy. God bless you, Mike, for all the hard work you've done. I love you, brother. Thanks for having me on your show.
Thanks, brother. You have a good one. Let me know if you need me on Tuesday for World Headlines, okay?
I think that's going to be a distinct possibility.
Thanks, Kevin. God bless you.
Take care, Mike. Well, thanks, brother. See ya. That's Mike Martins, everybody, from Mike in the Night. I appreciate you all listening to us talk to each other here for the last hour and a bit. What an absolutely remarkable guy. His show is fabulous. I'm very happy to know him. And I'm very happy that we've always had the opportunity to have private conversations. Stefanos is in the room. He's going to be joining us in a second here. I'm just going to quickly rifle through the questions that I've missed. Okay. Biden said a Biden cock sleeve. Good name. All right. I have a question. How come my anus stretches so much for Mighty Joe Dong? Okay. So that's a troll. And I'm now going to silence you for the rest of this live stream because I don't want to talk about your anus being stretched. I truly don't. If I was 18, I might have, but not now. All right. Just checking the room here. On Rumble, everybody, if you want to find me on Rumble, just type in freedomreport.ca and you can join the chat room there. By the way, we're only at 5,000 likes. Can we get everyone just rapid fire the screen? Let's get to 10,000 likes right now. Just keep liking this video, everybody, because TikTok really likes it when you like videos. And over here on Rumble, right around here, just hit the thumbs up, everyone. Please, let's get that rocking. All right, Stefanos, come on in, join me for the show. Thanks for being here. Appreciate that. Let me turn the volume up so everybody can hear you. And I'm just going to look for the last of the questions here that I might have missed. All right. No, guys, I don't give a rat's ass about the Toronto Maple Leafs at all. I'll tell you why. Who cares? Who cares about pro hockey anymore? When I was growing up in the 70s and the early 80s, this kind of miracle happened, right? There was two professional leagues that were top tier, the National Hockey League and the World Hockey Association. And hockey cards were all the rage back then. Why? Because the professional hockey team was not only representative of the city, but all of what Canada stood for at the time. So professional hockey meant so much to us because it actually brought families together, Stefanos, is when the Leafs would play, we'd race home from whatever we were doing. And it was, mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, all of us, we'd sit there, we'd watch the game. And we'd get a pizza or mom would cook something. We had chips and dip, like all that stuff. It was culture. And that's why the NHL was so important to us back in the day. And also, they didn't wear helmets back then. So you knew who everybody was by their haircuts, right? Not by the name on the jersey. When hockey was being played in the 70s and the 80s, it was a very enjoyable thing. It wasn't a formulaic thing at all. So naturally, I was a huge Toronto Maple Leafs fan as a kid. We'd trade the hockey cards. We'd buy T-shirts and spray paint white Maple Leafs on them. And, I'd pretend to be Ian Turnbull or Daryl Sittler or whatever else, right? Cultural. It's not culture anymore. It's just business. And it sucks. And modern hockey sucks. Now, here's my favorite story ever is I took my lovely ex-wife to a hockey game in Calgary. Toronto Maple Leafs were playing in Calgary. Someone gave me tickets. It's not like I was going to buy them. Someone gave me tickets and said, here, I can't go. And my seats were like way up in the rafters, but that's okay because Calgary Saddledome is actually a really cool building. And I'm walking up the stairs and this guy just reaches out and grabs my hand and says, oh, Kevin, so good to see you. Like we're shaking hands. And I'm saying, good to see you, man. You look great. Stefanos, I had no fucking clue who I was talking to. Who is this man shaking my hand, right? And he's talking about the previous show I did and that thing I said and whatever else. And I'm saying, thank you. And then like after a minute of this long embracing handshake, like, oh, it's Theo Fleury. I didn't recognize him at first because he had thick glasses on and a baseball hat. So I said, Theo, level with me here. Modern hockey, I know you're like a former Calgary Flames guy. You got to hoist the Stanley Cup once and kiss it and drink out of it. Is modern hockey worse or better? He goes, it's garbage now. These are all just a bunch of wimps down there. It's trash. I said, yeah, you know what? I agree with that sentiment. There's no fire. There's no passion. It's just a bunch of guys doing what the coach says, and that's the end of it. And the worst part is, back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, we were all allowed to have opinions. Hockey players had opinions. I remember Dave Tiger Williams, when he was asked by Don Cherry, what do you think about all the European players coming into the NHL? His response was, that's what he did. Like, he hated them. And we could say these things back then. So hockey was cultural and hockey was fun because when the players got mad or got emotional, we could join them in the emotion. It was great. Now, there's no emotion in the game at all. Who gives a shit about it? I couldn't care less. Steph, your thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, Kevin, you're absolutely right. It was a family thing. I know when I was little and I was growing up, my dad, he became, he was a very respected person in the community, a very active person in the community, sponsored teams, Then we had our own hockey team. And just like you said, would sit around and we'd all watch the TV when the games were on. And we'd always sit there and watch everything. And now it's turned into garbage. It's just, I remember Marty McSorley, as I like to call him because of the Shiner. But, when all this stuff started happening and then they didn't want any physical contact. I used to play hockey quite a bit myself. I started out in Adam. First year at him and ended up in Bantam and then no more. But yeah, it was a great experience until they started pussifying it really bad. Couldn't the physical contact wasn't there anymore.
Let's talk about physical contact for a second when I was coaching hockey. And there's a question here, Iron Mill Radio. I'm going to get to you in a second. But we had body contact. As soon as you hit 10 years old, body checking. And it was all the hits, the hip check, kids would go flying over top of each other, the body check, all of that stuff. When I started coaching, and I ended up getting my own teams to coach as head coach and not just trainer, I would put on all my gear and I would show these kids how to hit, how to deliver a good body check, how to drive a guy into the boards and whatnot. I had a blast coaching kids in hockey. It was more fun for me than them, I think. And now 3 years after I stopped coaching, they took body contact out completely. Just completely. And yes, Jason, I would love to get Don Cherry on my show. I've got no clue how to reach the guy right now, but we should try. So now they've pussified the game. And on top of all of that, coaches who want to coach any sport in Canada have to take that diversity and equity and inclusion training, because somehow magically between the years of 2008 and 2024, half the kids in the country are trans. Go fuck yourself. No, man. I actually went to one of those training sessions and I put my hand up saying, just a second here. What you're talking about is pedophilia, and everyone here should just get up and walk out. And I know that it hurts the kids that they won't have any coaches, but you know what hurts the kids more these days in amateur sports is having to tolerate this trans shit. If some guy wants to play baseball and I'm trans. Hey, who cares? Get on home plate and bat the goddamn ball. You catch the ball in the outfield, make sure it goes to first base as fast as possible. Who gives a crap you're trans? You're not trans at all. Yeah, you listened to losers and you're letting losers turn you into a loser. Play baseball as a man and be a friggin' winner. That's what you do. But we don't talk to kids this way. We should. We absolutely should. All right.
Funny thing that you mentioned Theo Fleury. I used to call him the big sucky baby of hockey because he'd always take those temper tantrums. But really, I'm not knocking the guy now, and that's when I was little. But now I recognize the gamesmanships during the games that were going on, how different people work with everybody. Theo was a great player. I loved Gary Roberts, probably my best player that I loved in the more modern era when I was watching, Guy Lafleur, Sittler, all of these guys, great players. But, when I was playing, I actually crushed someone real bad in the boards. And as I was getting up, they kicked me with their skate in the rib, and they caught me just under my chest protector. So it caught me in the ribs. So knocked the wind out of me. But I didn't roll around and cry like a little bitch. Nowadays, something like that happened to someone, they'd be on the ice crying like a little baby. And there's no toughening up anything anymore. There's no nothing. When my very first time I ever stepped on the ice, I didn't know crap about hockey. And all I did was jump on the ice, and the first guy I seen, I just went and crushed him in the boards. And into the penalty box I went.
All right. The questions are starting to pour in now, everybody. So what do I think about the Black Miss Universe Canada? I think she looks like a man. All right. If you're going to put a black chick out there and say that this black person is Miss Canada, could you make sure she's good looking? That's not racist. She's just ugly as hell. That's all. When you have masculine features as a woman, you should not be competing for Miss Universe Canada or Miss Teen Canada or Miss whatever Canada, period. That's what I think. And she got a lot of racist remarks. Who gives a shit? Who cares? She calls them out. Who cares? Here's the headline that came out. Miss Universe Canada, comma, first black woman to hold the title, calls out racist remarks she received online. Who cares? They picked the ugliest creature they could find. And this has happened before. Now, what do I think also about Miss Netherlands and Miss Spain being men? Well, I guess the question I've got is, how are these men looking better than women? Some of these guys look better than women ever have. I don't get it. I'm kind of scratching my head, but they should still not be allowed to compete. I don't care how good they are at makeup and getting surgeries to remove ribs and to shave their hips and whatnot. That's what they do. They get a lot of surgeries to shave their bones down. Should they be allowed to compete? Nope. And honestly speaking, should Miss Canada be black? No, not at all. She should be white. And same with Miss America, white. Because if they want to see it's more representative of our culture, well, no, it's not at all, because it wasn't blacks that built the country, it was whites. That's how it is. Miss Zaire, Miss Sudan, Miss Lesotho, Miss Nigeria, they should all be black. All of them should be black. They shouldn't be white, they should be black. I'm all for that. Miss Japan should be Japanese. Right? That's what we should be doing here. I'm sick to death of all this I call it crotchery, like crotch sniffery is really what this is. We're all just trying to sniff each other's crotches and see who can get the most upset about it. That's all that we are. So when you put a black woman into this competition and she wins, and we know she didn't deserve it, she just won so that we can say equity, diversity. That's all it is. It's just one more nail in the coffin for white people and Canadian culture. She's ugly. I don't like her. You couldn't pay me to date her, and I wouldn't be seen in public with her. If someone said, here's 500 grand, go have a date with this person. Nope, not at all, because I only have hot women on my arm when I'm in public, period. Your thoughts?
I don't know, Kevin. The problem is, one, I agree with you 100%. Men shouldn't be in this type of a competition unless they are going to make it a unisex competition. What else? Like, that would be the most normal thing to do. You want everybody in it, put them all in. It just doesn't make sense to separate and start making men be women and crap like that, because we all know they're not real women. So, and then when you start getting races involved and why they're black, that's there or whatever, well, you got to blame government again, because now we got the diversity, as you said, and they're pushing all of this stuff. So I'm not going to blame the person that's running for it. I'm not going to blame the association that's doing it, because they've been also put into a position. Because the fact is, if the whoever the commission or whatever it is that puts this pageant together says no because you're black or whatever, next thing you know, you got a whole human rights case and everything else and discrimination, and then they'd blow it up with racism and everything else. It just went one big giant shit show.
Yep.
So you can't really. It's just so crazy.
Remember, they also wanted to make James Bond a black woman. Remember the last James Bond movie, which it was all right, but the 007 moniker got bumped over to this black chick that looked more like a man than I do. Really, really gross. So if you're going to put a chick into a Bond movie, she's got to be hot, man. And you notice how Moneypenny is always black now, and all the women love interests in white men are all black. It's retarded. It's British. It's British culture. It can't be bastardized. And when they said that Idris Elba, the black dude, was going to be James Bond, I thought, nope, I'm done. I'm out. I'm absolutely out. So it looks like they backtracked on that because of all the pressure they got. And that guy, what's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played in Kick-Ass, he's actually the front runner right now for James Bond. Now, he was a kid when he made Kick-Ass, but he's actually a pretty good looking guy right now. He's cut and he's fit. So he's actually a good choice. The last thing that I want to see would be the Muhammad Ali story played by a white guy and James Bond played by a black guy. Period. That's just how it is. And I'm sick of this race swapping shit because it's childish. It's garbage and it doesn't really sell well. So, question that we got here. Why are a lot of men looking outside of North America for a wife? because North American women are no longer wife material. They want to be politicians. They want to be leaders. They want to be CEOs. They want to be rich. Not interested. I have no interest in a career chick. None. I have no interest in pretentious, bitchy women. Women often mistake bitchiness for strength. I'm a strong, independent woman. Well, when you talk to most of them, no, I can make them cry in 5 minutes. I'm very good with words. I'm a wordsmith, let me tell you that. And if a woman can cry listening to me speak for 5 minutes, she's not strong. She's just a bitch. And I have no interest in being around people like that. That's why. We want feminine women. We want women who are going to be happy to see us when we come home. We want women who are going to hold our hand and be by our side, who if we are telling a story to friends at a party and the story's total bullshit, our woman backs us up and says, yep, happened just like you said. Like, that's the kind of thing that we want. We don't need a career woman. We don't want strong, independent woman unless she actually is a strong, independent woman, in which case she wouldn't need a man anyway. A strong, independent woman doesn't want a man. So think about that, man. No, that's it. It's because there's just too much selfishness and greed with American women. And I'll never forget, Steph, is this one dude, young guy. I like his show, but I forget his name. And he was asking young women under 30 how much the engagement ring should be. How much should your engagement ring be? And this fat, ugly cow grabs the microphone. $500,000, $500,000. You're not going to get this without a $500,000 ring. Thinking, holy shit, lady, you're so freaking gross. You can't even demand a lollipop from a man and get it. And this is also the other problem with Hollywood here, is that women are watching this crap. 500 grand for a ring that you put on your finger? How about 500 grand for 2 houses right now in Florida and rent them out, become landlords? There you go. Like, actually have to work for your investment dollars to be something. A ring is not an investment. I'm telling you that right now. It's not. Rings are not 24 karat gold. They're not 99.9% pure gold. And the rocks on them are worth nothing. They're worth nothing. Who cares? Diamonds only have value because Hollywood said they do back in the 30s. That's it. They have no value. They're junk.
Hey, Kevin, might be one point you're missing about their value. You're absolutely correct, because say some poor sap sucker ends up dishing out $500,000 for a ring, and it's divorce time and they go their separate ways, and she's stuck with his ring, thinking she's got $500,000. But when she goes to sell it off, all she's going to get is the weight of the gold. So
yeah, that's it. That's it. I actually, you know what, as a wedding gift, first off, the engagement ring that I got, I shouldn't say this, but I will, because I admitted to it afterwards. I won it in a card game. I won it in a poker match. So the bet, I mean, I lost some money that night. So I think maybe about $175 is what I actually put out in cash for the engagement ring. That's why I married her. She was more interested in building a home than a stupid ring, which is good, which is very good. I'm being asked, how many times was I married? Once, for 21 years. And I'm still good friends with my ex-wife. So I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. There we go.
You're not be friends anymore after she hears the poker story, all right?
No. I told her the poker story. No, I told her everything that could ever come back to sting me in the ass before we got married. I should sit down. Here's every story that my friends are going to probably tell you. So you've heard them from me first. Ta-da.
Smart thinking.
Yep. I saved myself a lot of headaches that way. I'm just checking the questions here in TikTok because I'm 98 comments behind right now. All right. Moran Thomas says, I'm one of the boys, but I agree with this guy. Thank you. I certainly do appreciate that. Play chess, not pool. Yeah, well, chess is definitely a thinking game. Pool's cool if you're playing pool with a hot chick and she's got a great ass, because I would just keep deliberately moving the cue ball further so she's got to bend over more. Yeah, but whatever. Did you renounce your Canadian citizenship? Not yet.
I would always stand on the other end so you can just see that shot head on, bent over, down the top. Look out, look out.
Yeah, well, we're men. We like what we like, right? Okay, Mark says he agrees with some of my points, but women, 60% of women are good at organization. That's true, because that's 2D thinking. I said that. That's absolutely true. I would rather have a female secretary than a male secretary, but I don't want any women sales reps, and I don't want any women in the upper echelon of management. I just don't. But you are correct to say that. What show are you on, Rumble? My own, the Kevin J Johnston Show. This is your questions answered, part 36 on freedomreport.ca. There you go. That's how you find me on Rumble. Hi there. Just want to point out that Canada.ca official has an article about China's social credit score. Yes, they do. Canada.ca has got a lot of weird articles on it, including weather control. It's there. Trust me, it's there. Okay, so, we got a Rumble investor here. All right, Iron Mill. Get a hold of me, man. Let's talk about this, because I actually want to be one too. Rumble, everybody, for those who don't know, rumble.com is a YouTube alternative that is very stable. And unlike YouTube, you can actually run a 24-hour straight live feed through it if you'd like to do so. And Rumble has never kicked me off of the platform or even taken a video down. They've been very, very good to me. All right, checking things out. Oh, someone says, go Kings. It's pro hockey. I don't give a shit anymore. Couldn't care less. I'm done. Remember, there were 3 player strikes in the NHL in my adult life. They can kiss my ass, all of them. I'm not interested.
You know where I lost anything to do with hockey or basketball? That was when the teachers had bought and owned the companies. That's when. Because nothing to do with education. It's been all highly politicized now.
And Slapshot with Paul Newman was my favorite movies, made me fall in love with hockey. Slapshot is the best sports movie ever made. I have seen that movie 400 plus times. That is the funniest shit ever. And I wish they made movies like, actually, there was one movie that was made, and I call it the second best sports movie ever made because it was in the same vein as Slapshot. The one with Will Ferrell, basketball. What was it called? What's Will Ferrell's basketball movie? What's that one called? Oh, it's hilarious. Especially the black guy that kept changing his name all the way through the movie. It's a brilliant movie. No, not Slapshot. I'm talking the basketball version, the more recent one, and they made it look like Slapshot, but it was basketball. Superstar, was it? Someone tell me what that movie was, because it was awesome. But beyond that, sports movies are crap. Oh, wait, Goon. Goon is great. That's another great sports movie. All right, I'm just checking all the questions here. No, my wife did not have a mustache, for those who are asking me about that. Okay.
Was that basketball movie called Semi-Pro? I think I said it once.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one. Like they were talking about when the NBA was in the midst of purchasing the ABA. There was 2 leagues there, and they were going to merge into one league. And Will Ferrell is a guy who wrote a song, one song, made millions off it, and bought a team, a basketball team, and decided to coach it and play on it. And it's funny as hell. It really is funny as hell. It's equally as funny as Zoolander. Zoolander is funny. All right. Sorry, someone what are you asking me about? Indigenous. First off, natives or Indians, as they're called, are not indigenous. All right, that word is actually a UN created term to state that white people have to give up their land. Right, so nobody is indigenous to Canada. No, everyone moved there eventually. Matt says 500K. I'm in for a date. Well, I'm glad you've got 500K to blow on that. My fiance is a beautiful indigenous woman. Your fiance is a beautiful Indian woman, right? Like, oh, that kind of Indian. Good for you. I don't give a shit. You guys can date and marry whoever you want. I'm just talking about the fact that white people used to represent 60% of the planet. Now we represent 9%. White people got to have more kids, man. There we are. By the way, any good-looking white women out there want to get knocked up with the unvaxxed sperm right here? Like my loads are hot and they're ready to go. I want to make more white babies. Get a hold of me. For sure. I would really like to know if you stay by that, or do you mean immigrants? Okay, well, I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to, so maybe if you could expand the question a bit, I'll answer it. Yeah, okay, good point. Race doesn't matter, beauty is the key. Sure, I dated some really, 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 really dynamite looking Japanese broads in the past. I just didn't want to have mixed race kids. When it was finally time for me to stop banging black chicks and Japanese chicks and Chinese chicks and Spanish chicks and white chicks and that, when I finally said, this is great and all, yeah, but it's time to grow up a little bit and have kids of my own. I wanted white kids. You know how many times I've been called racist for that? Why couldn't they be Chinese or black or Korean? Because I didn't want that. Right? I'm allowed to want what I want, and I'll chase what I want. God damn it! I don't have to justify myself to you. Not now, not ever. Okay, so I'm a bit behind here. They're still talking about James Bond. So yeah, I've missed a few here. Wait, this is a really good statement here. If you're strong and independent, you don't need to say it, you exude it. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Which is why I don't walk through life saying, I'm a strong, independent man. I don't do that. Why would I do that? I just go out and enjoy life. And if people think I'm strong, great. And if they don't, great. No matter.
That's because that's because the left says men are Neanderthals and they hate women and they just want to harm and hurt them. That's what it comes down to.
Oh no, I love women. I love good looking women. All right. And ladies, I love having sex with good looking women. I just love it. I love having conversations with highly intelligent, good looking women. I love it. All right. I hold the doors open for those ladies. I open the door for all the first 5 dates. You'll probably get me opening up the door. But beyond that, no, probably not so much, but you're always going to be treated like gold by me. And one thing also, Steph, I never got this one. When men sleep with women, then treat them like crap by saying something stupid like cab fares on the counter. Like, that is ridiculous, man. I have never been rude to a woman that was kindly enough to sleep with me, period. So there are guys out there like that. That ain't me. Not at all. I love women, but I don't want them as politicians or leaders or otherwise, or voting. I don't want women voting. Just don't, period. Okay, I agree with a lot of the points you make, but that's not a point I can stand with. Look, not everyone's going to agree with everything I say. I will say things as aggressively and accurately as I possibly can based on all of the knowledge that I have at that exact moment. That's it. And my opinions are popular with some and unpopular with some. And people are like 50-50 on what I say, and some are 90-10. I get it. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you for that. I got a comment here from YouTube. I do not know what type of crap that ScrewTube is putting on here. Only 45 minutes into your live and vlog, and I can't see only one message. Yeah, that is weird. Let me check YouTube right now, because YouTube has been, doing stuff to my feeds forever. I hate YouTube. I can't stand you guys. Not the people watching on YouTube, but the YouTube staff and the YouTube brass and all of them. So let me have a look and see what's going on here with my live feed. Give me a second, everybody. Oh, yeah. Okay. So YouTube says that there's only 2 people watching on YouTube. Of course, that's what they say. That's absolutely what they would say. There we go. All right, I'm going to go through more of your questions here. Greetings, Brian from Bell River, Ontario. Thanks for being here, Brian. Appreciate that. Are men allowed to be here? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure where that question came from, but yes. Okay, why did I run away from Canada? It's called tactical withdrawal, man. There's no jobs in Canada. All right? If you're a white man with ambition, you shouldn't be in Canada. They're just going to take everything away from you. They did. I'm rebuilding my life again by getting things going down, working for me here in Costa Rica. Luke is French Canadian by blood. Bonjour, mon ami. Yeah. French Canadien. Sweet. Tommy Robinson was asked by MI5 to be an agent for them. He declined. I didn't know that. I should read the particulars on that. That sounds pretty good. Oh, here. Loser. Ready? I'm going to say this to you the way it sounds to me. Are you the guy that has to pay $650,000 for harassment? This is the problem when you losers get your news from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. I was sued by Alberta Health Services because they didn't want me telling the truth about them killing Albertans. And they said I couldn't talk about them. And the judge, or the justice of the peace, incorrectly stated that I had to pay them $650,000, like I would ever give them a penny of my money, period. But I appealed it. And that's the part that you guys don't know, or you losers don't know, who want to crack stuff like that. I'm just going to get rid of this troll.
Hey,
Look at that. No followers. He opened up an account specifically to ask that question.
Here, let me add a little bit more fuel to this fire. And
yeah, please go ahead.
Oh God, you're gonna love this. And a lot of people, especially Albertans, are unaware of any of this crap. But AHS, remember, at your trial, the judge said you're not going to get shit. The judge even said that you said you're not going to get shit. So there's no way they can enforce shit. You're not going to pay shit ever. Period. Not only that, but here's the beauty of it all. AHS is gone. They are no more. As of June, sometime in June, AHS is gone. And right now in Alberta, AHS is trying to charge their own employees to park in this massively huge parking lot. And they only have a couple of spots for the employees, but the rest are all visitors and they're never full. So now they've taken a bylaw that's been repealed in Alberta, where this place is, and they're putting it as a warning on their cars and telling them that you're going to be charged under this bylaw that does not exist, and trying to say they're going to have their vehicles towed and they will be fine, which they can't do. And they also have their stupid security guards running around out in the parking lot taking pictures of plates of people's cars and stuff. So you know what that means? That means an unconstitutional search of the public in those parking lots. And they can't do this. This whole thing is illegal from top to bottom because that bylaw has been repealed. And AHS is no more as of June, and sometime in June. So who are you going to pay, Kevin, when this place doesn't exist?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give everybody the heads up now. If you sue me, even if I lose, I will never pay you. It's pointless, especially if it's Canada, because there's no way for you to enforce the judgment. If you're suing me, you're wasting your money. You will never get a penny from me ever. Why bother suing me? I'm going to spend all the time in the world wasting your time, demanding a trial. So you've got to keep your lawyers fed with your own cash. And if you win, what then? Because you're going to have to pay your lawyers to do a discovery, which I'm probably not going to cooperate with. You know, I might show up in a skirt, and maybe like having not showered for 5 or 6 days. Maybe I'll deliberately roll myself up in pig shit before I get there. You're not going to be able to look at me and take me seriously. You're not going to be able to stand the smell of my body. There was a maniac that decided to bring me into discovery to find out what assets I had. So I showed up with a trumpet. My buddy showed up with a trombone. Another friend of mine showed up with a drum. I can't play trumpet. So I'm just going, burr, 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 happy birthday to me, burr, 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 happy birthday to me, just screaming at the top of my lungs. And the company that was running the discovery threw me out of the building. So if they're throwing me out, I guess the discovery can't take place. Don't think for a second that you're getting anything from me. So for all you out there who want to sue me, you're wasting your money. But that's okay, You've got the right to waste your money, and I've got the right to help you waste it, and I will. See here. For those who are curious, there's no extradition treaties between Costa Rica and Canada. Not a single solitary one. Hold on, Steph. Do you know about this one? April 1st in the province of Alberta, they're dropping all regulations for old folks' homes. The operators can do what they want without consulting staff, families, or of patients and unions, including how they treat staff. That's weird.
No, I have not heard about this, but at the end of the day, they can't do whatever the hell they want because there's something called laws. And if they're outside of those laws, they will get screwed regardless. So there's no such thing as they can do what they want ever.
There you are. Correct. No such thing. You can't just do what you want. You can't assault old people and think that you're going to get away with it because you wrote a policy. Your policies do not trump the law, everybody. Your thought processes do not trump the law. You assault someone, it's illegal. All right, there you go. Period. Someone says, I sound like North American politicians, but more fun. Cool. Politicians don't speak as well as I do. Politicians are not as articulate as I am. They're definitely not as much fun as I am. That's for damn sure. All right. So, all right. I'm going to check the Rumble room here for questions.
Sure. While you do that, I'm going to make a comment to Curly McHugh's comment about guidelines and laws in homes. Well, guidelines don't matter. Those aren't laws. Policies are not laws, but laws are laws. So if you got negligence, criminal negligence causing death, all these types of things, those are laws, not anything a home might think or a guideline or a policy.
All right. What's my favorite movie of all time? I don't know, man. Nothing recently. I'll tell you that. Nothing recent at all. Probably nothing in the last 10 years. I could tell you that. Well, I'll just go with Slapshot. All right. Because it was so well written and so well directed and so well everything. Because it made me laugh for hours. Right. All right. Rick is saying that, Rick, who gets cocaine and hookers on well, actually, I guess every politician gets cocaine and hookers on our tax dollars. But if there's a specific one that you're thinking about, let me know. Oh, someone likes the Count of Monte Cristo. The original one was good. The remake sucked. Yes, there we go. All righty. Someone says RoboCop. I love that one too, but it's not my favorite. It's good, but not my favorite. All right, guys, this is your questions answered, part 36. Is it 35? 36. 36. If you got any questions, just go ahead and throw it down here in the chat. Doesn't matter what the subject matter is. Stefanos and I will address it. We're going to hang around for a little bit longer. We've been going live now. Are we in 2 hours? 2 hours so far. We'll hang around for just a little bit longer. So go ahead and throw your questions in the chat room. It doesn't matter which social media platform that you're currently on. Gary's asking, is it visit time for that list? Oh, the list of MPs that are all buying properties here in Costa Rica. Can't do it yet. Soon.
Here. How about something leading up to that? How about the Panama Papers? Everyone's familiar with the Panama Papers. A large portion of conservative and liberal MPs and MPPs in Canada here are all money laundering over there. They're all in the Panama Papers. So you want to see the money launderers, who the crooked politicians are, it's all in there.
All right. Do you have a copy of the Panama Papers? Because maybe we should just do one full show on that. And
I get it for you. Yep.
Yeah, I want to see those. I think it'd be time to do some reading. Maybe I'll take a day off finally, hit the beach and just sit there and read it. All right. Does anyone know what happened to Norman Traversy? I talked to him today. He's fine. He's in Ottawa. In fact, I talked to him 3 times this week. He's good. Don't worry about him. That guy's a trooper. How's the pollution in Costa Rica? Non-existent. It's great. It's great here. Costa Rican government doesn't like it when you litter, so don't do that. When you come down here, try it out. All right. So it looks like we're running out of questions here, everybody. Let's hit this. All right. We're going to stick around about 10, 15 more minutes. But I guess we'll see if you're interested in questions or just hearing what we've got to say. Michael's asking me, are you still not allowed to speak of Iqra Khalid? I'm allowed to speak about Iqra Khalid. And for those who don't know who Iqra Khalid is, she is a Canadian politician. She was 29 years old when she started running for political office in the Liberal Party. She's a very stupid individual, very immature. Like, she's about 15 mentally. She had to ask her daddy permission to take off her hijab so she could run for political office. And her dad almost said no, apparently. And she's the one that tabled that motion M103, which would use the police to quell Islamophobia in Canada. I'm not allowed to go near her, but I can talk about her. I can't phone her or email her, but I can certainly talk about her and let everyone know what a pathetic, cat turd she really is. She really is a stupid person. Like, listen to her talk, man. She's one of those people that's less than the 63 IQ that I've been talking about. What about Jordan Peterson? What's the deal? I need a bit more information. What's the rent in Costa Rica? Here on the West Coast, $2,000 a month US. Downtown San Jose or downtown San Isidro, $400 or $500. Yeah, there you go. Big towns are great. They're cheap. How do I get a job in Costa Rica? I'm an electrician from Alberta. There aren't jobs here. You got to open a business here. That's the problem with Costa Rica, is the jobs pay $3 US to $7 US an hour. This is a place that you come to reinvent yourself, not to find work. That's the truth. So if you've got an online income, you'll do really well here. If you open a business, you'll probably do okay. But you don't come here for jobs, which is unfortunate. I will be investigating other countries. Just for the record, I'll keep you posted when I get to them, and I'll let you know what we find out. I'm currently in Dominican Republic. How does it compare to Costa Rica? I haven't been to Dominican Republic yet. I'd like to go. I have no clue what the culture is like there because I have never been there. So I should not make comments because I just don't know.
Totally scary. I can comment a little bit on there. If you like driving around and then suddenly there being a military checkpoint and then you being extorted for money because you're a foreigner to pay them in order for them not to detain you and take you into some prison, well, then it's a great place for you because you just pay them off and away you go. You got to watch these places. All these, I like to call them third world countries, but they may not be. That's what I liken them to. When you have such a rampant corruption such as that. Now, I wouldn't want to risk my life into that kind of crap. Hell no.
Cass is saying that in Saskatchewan, they can force a breathalyzer on you during a traffic stop. What are your thoughts on that, Steph?
Well, the Supreme Court of Canada has ruled on all this kind of stuff. No, they can't unless they have probable grounds. And probable grounds does not include smell. So the same thing with marijuana. You can have 10 kilos of marijuana in the trunk of your car, and just because the police smell it, it's not probable grounds. So, Trudeau, Kevin, if you remember, made that stupid law saying that police can come to your home 2 hours after and give you a breathalyzer and charge you with a DWI. That went down like a ton of bricks in the Supreme Court of Canada also. That went out the window. They cannot do this kind of stuff. So
yeah, don't ever answer the door if the cops ring your doorbell in Canada. Just let them rot outside. They're only allowed to stick around for something like 5 minutes. So yeah, just stay. Just don't interact with the cops. You're asking for trouble if you do. Angie's asking, when do you think that they'll put into practice the smart city bill in Montreal, Quebec? I think what's going to happen here with all the Canadian cities that are trying the smart city and 15-minute city stuff, they're going to see if Edmonton succeeds or fails. Edmonton's going to be first. Probably June or July of this year, they're going to activate that 15-minute city crap in Edmonton, in Alberta. I think Montreal is going to wait because, as Stefano says, they could probably get tanked pretty fast in the courts. I suppose we just need to see what happens in Edmonton.
Yeah, Kevin, don't get smart cities mixed up with 15-minute cities. This is smart growth, all this garbage that municipalities have been pushing. All your municipalities who are doing that are members of ICLEI. Get and pressure your municipal council and mayor to rescind and cancel those memberships. This is why you're getting them. And there's nothing smart about smart growth. That's the dumbest thing ever. And it has absolutely nothing to do with growth whatsoever. Everything to do with being gross and screwing people over.
Yeah, absolutely. What are my thoughts about she-males? I don't know any. A she-male, just for those who don't.
Chicks with dicks.
Yeah. Essentially, she-males are the ones they work out a lot. They do a lot of squats, so they get themselves an ass that looks like a woman. They get all their body hair removed. They leave the schlong and testicles on their body, but they get the breast implants and they get their facial reconstruction surgery done. What do I think of them? I don't know. I don't know any. I've never come across one. If they want to put that kind of effort into looking like a woman, what the hell does that have to do with me? What does that have to do with you, Stefanos? What does that have to do with anything?
Be whatever the hell you want. Just don't push your crap on everybody else. If that's something you want to be, go for it.
Yeah, Serpico, someone actually asked that question. Yeah, this last night, if I got this right, last night when I did your questions answer part 35 was the first time that someone did not ask me if I was gay. That comes up every single time, every single show. So far, not tonight and not last night. Thank God for that.
Hey, I have someone in the medical industry, and this might apply also to she-males. I don't know. I'm no medical expert, but I do have friends in the medical industry, and they have been working with people who have transitioned or in the process of transitioning. And everyone that their, I guess their region where their medical department is, I won't say where, but every one of them that have done this ended up committing suicide. And it is because, you'd want to be a female and transition into one somehow or another, but you don't get all your parts altered and everything else. You end up going out with some guy. Second this guy sees you got a tree trunk between your legs, it's all over. The game's over. And they have had nothing but feuds and fighting and with their boyfriends, and that they can't get boyfriends, and they end up committing suicide at the end. This has been the end result 100% on all the ones they had to deal with in their region.
I just got to let everybody know the place I'm in right now has got a steel roof and it's starting to rain, which means the internet might go out. I'm in Costa Rica after all. If it does, then it's not me cutting things off deliberately. It's just how that works here. And God, it's already getting loud. Oh yeah, I'm not even going to be able to hear you in a minute. Alrighty. Yeah, here it comes. Here it comes. But yeah, so the whole she-male thing, I know that there's some guys out there that do this stuff, and they do very well with their OnlyFans website. They make a lot of money. But if they are she-males who are actually looking to be involved with a heterosexual man, they're going to be disappointed because there's not a lot of men out there who want to date a dude, even like no matter how good the dude looks as a chick, still don't want to hold someone else's dick in your hand. That's just how it is. So you're setting yourself up for disappointment. That's the thing. And then you've put all that time and effort into getting this look going on. I wouldn't recommend it, folks. I really don't. Okay. Yeah. The rain is not going to be nice to hear in a few minutes if it really starts coming down.
Yeah, Kevin, just to add a little more to this stuff. I do have several trans people that are friends of mine on my Facebook, and they're not like your average ones that you see out there that are trying to force all this garbage or hang the wings out in front of little children at a story time or something. Um, these people are legit the way they feel, but they also make reels and videos. And let's say when they have their facial hair and body hair growing in, they say this is what triggers their dysphoria. So there is quite the element, quite the high level of dysphoria there on them, and they don't hide it. They share what it is, what is going on with them personally, and this is one of the things that has been identified as being a problem or a mental illness in this. And they're very upfront people. I actually commend them for their honesty and how they are, but they do not try to push this on anyone, and that's a great thing. They know their boundaries and they stay within them.
Fair enough. And that's what we all got to do. All of us need to know what our boundaries are and stay within them. It doesn't matter who you are. We've all got boundaries. The law is one of them. Even though there is really no rule of law in Canada anymore, and the United States is following very rapidly, there's still a modicum of law left, and we should be abiding by it as best we possibly can. So as for the she-males out there, good for you. Some of you look good enough to become Miss Norway, is it? Or Miss Denmark? Miss Spain? Good for you. I guess you found your niche, but you're not. You don't have the right to have a heterosexual guy be with you just because you cry on Twitter about it or cry on TikTok about it. That's it. No one is obligated to date you. That's it. But there are websites for that kind of thing. You can go to any of them, Match, Tinder, whatever else. You can click on it saying, with your little mousey here, click, I am a she-male. I want a heterosexual male. You can do that. There's got to be one out there that wants a piece of it. Anyway, that's a stupid question. So let's move on. Do I believe in aliens? Have I ever seen a UFO? I have never seen a UFO, except this guy here. Definitely unidentified. If there's aliens out there, guys, I don't care because they're not coming here. We are insignificant. And any alien species that comes by is going to look down, look around a little bit. Okay, Islam, LGBTQ, 72 genders. Nope, we're out. We're out.
I don't know why he keeps saying 72 genders, because when Obama was in power, they had identified up to 28,000 genders in the USA. So I don't know, 72.
72 was what the Canadian Parliament talked about. That's all that it was. That
well,
number,
we're lacking here.
well, Canada's always been behind the entire planet. So yeah, what do you do, right? Fantastic. Someone's asking me why I was angry with Kellyanne Wolf the other day. I'm not angry with Kellyanne Wolf, just that Kellyanne had me on. I put her on the first half of my show, and I disagreed with everything she said. So I was asking her questions about what she said, and whoever it was cut my microphone off. So you don't cut my microphone, kill transmission. I'm done. There we are. That's all it was, guys. I'm not angry with Kellyanne Wolf.
I missed that show. Damn.
It's kind of pointless. They kept cutting my microphone and they finally just blanked me out completely. And I gave up. When I ask a question of somebody and they want to deflect with irrelevant crap, I'm going to rephrase the question, but still restate it. And then when I get more deflection and then my microphone gets cut, I'm out. There's no point. I'm the only one that asks real questions and nobody ever wants to put up with real questions. And just for the record, everybody, and this is something I am going to tell you all, just because you have a little bit of native blood or Indian blood in your body does not mean in any way, shape, or form that you are an ambassador to the United Nations on behalf of indigenous, native, whatever, Indian people. You're not. You can say you are, but it doesn't mean you are.
Kevin,
All right.
you bring up a very, very good point,
Go ahead.
because I've been watching all these court cases in the courts, and they keep losing. All these people from Asmin or Aztec keep losing. They've tried to use UN drip. That's all been shot to shit. They've tried to say that we have no constitution in Canada. That's been shot to garbage. So dude, you got to be careful who you're listening to. Just because, and according to Aztec and Asmin, you don't even have to have one drop of native blood in you ever in your bloodline. Good example, me. Both my parents were Greek from Greece, and here I am in Canada. But I can turn around and say, hey, I identify as First Nations, go make my application, pay my $250, and get me a little card that says I'm an Indigenous person, Métis. This is why the real natives are angry on this stuff. The real Indians are angry because these people have nothing to do with that. Again, another fairy tale, imagination, pretend. I am First Nations. Crazy crap that goes on in Canada.
Yeah, well, you're not. And I don't care what claims you make, period. If you don't have an army with guns, you cannot enforce your claim. It's just that simple. And for anyone to tell me that they just know, they just know that they're right. Okay, fine. Convince me of it, but don't cut my microphone off. That's not how you convince me of it. Right? That's how that works. So who cares about that? This is another silly question, but I'm going to address it because I said that I would. Do I think that yoga pants should be banned in public? No, no, no. Especially if the woman belongs in them. No, absolutely not. I don't want to see men wearing them, but I have the right to just not look. And if men want to wear them, I can't stop them. No, yoga pants should not be banned. In fact, I hope they stay as a trend for a very long time to come. And I hope that more and more and more women out there go to the gym and do as many squats as I do so that they look great in those yoga pants. No.
You know, Kevin, this is the insanity of all this crap, all right? When you get, and no insult to whoever's asking the question because I can't see it, but, um, this is crazy. We're all going on about communism in Canada, but yet the majority of people in Canada act like a bunch of freaking communists. You can't wear those pants. You can't say this. You can't talk about that. So they're all acting like a bunch of freaking communists trying to quell everybody else while at the same time screaming about communism and free speech, such as Bill C-63 and Bill S-210 from the Conservative Party, trying to do exactly that, quell your free speech online, quell you on online to even access the internet, and bring in an usher digital ID, and as the Conservative Bill S-210 does. But this is the crazy thing. People need to check themselves, and before they speak and say something stupid such as that, they should ask themselves, who the hell am I to tell Kevin not to wear yoga pants? That's crazy crap.
Kevin doesn't wear yoga pants, just for the record. Period. But you're right. That's a very good point you make. Food prices have tripled in the last 3 years in Canada. Property taxes up about $2,000 on average per city in Canada. Cigarettes, well, you know what cigarettes cost. Alcohol is up about 30%. Gasoline is what, $1.80 a liter for regular garbage, and it's going to get higher on April the 1st. You should be protesting that stuff, not looking at other women wearing yoga pants and saying, oh, she's better looking than me, so I want to ban yoga pants. You can go to the gym too, you know. Hey, keep your eye on the ball. Worry about the real situations, man. Don't complain about other people's clothing. Oh my God. Serpico says there can, however, be some surprises when they take them off. Yeah, we addressed that with the she-mail comment. Uh-huh. Yes, but there we are. So I think, do you think that men cyclists? Oh, cyclists wear spandex shorts. I don't care. I think cycling's a stupid sport. I couldn't care less. I have watched the Tour de France for about 6 minutes of my entire life. There we go. JC says $1.66 a liter for gas. Crazy. So there we are.
Around 2015, I think it was, in around there 2013, they were screaming and complaining here in Canada. They want our gas up to $2.50 a liter. That's their goal. That's their end goal. And they said that will put Canada on par with the rest of the world and what they're paying in gas. But if you think about it, Canada should never be even to the prices we are now, because we produce significant oil that we can sustain ourselves. But our problem is our governments are selling off our oil to, say, example, China or something. And then China takes it out from here at Canadian taxpayers' expense. And then they send it back to Canada. So we have to pay an import fee and whatever the hell these freaking Chinese commie BSs are charging us. And this inflates everything, not to mention the government's own greed and taxes that they throw on top. So that's what's going on here. We should never be paying that kind of stuff, but their end goal is $2.50 a liter.
The Green Party made that stupid announcement somewhere in the range of like, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago, that they said that climate change, or at the time it was called global warming, would be cured by raising gas prices to $3 a liter. So yeah, well, let's hope you people never win. I'll do everything I can to make sure that happens. But stupid libtards thought that was a great idea. You know who thought that was a great idea? The libtards who don't have cars. That's the only ones who would think that's a good idea. Canada has vast distances between their cities. We need our gas to be cheaper. If you're in the United Kingdom, how far are you away from any given city at any given time? What's the furthest that you can be away from the ocean in the United Kingdom? Is it like 59 miles or something? Where are you people driving to? You can walk everywhere you want in the United Kingdom. So gas being $2 a liter is fine because you're not going to be burning anywhere near as much of it. But in Canada, you are. You're burning it all the time.
They want to do that so the politicians and crap can fly and drive and do everything, but they do not want us traveling out. So this ties into the parts of the 15-minute cities and everything else. They don't want us to be able to be mobile. They do not want us to have our freedom of movement. This is the goal of making owning and driving a vehicle restrictive to us, so we cannot go and will be forced to use public transit, which the government soaks up every single damn penny that we have.
Yeah. Someone said it was $2 30 years ago in New Zealand. Again, New Zealand doesn't have its own fuel production, and it's a very small country in comparison to most. So the distances that are traveled are considerably fewer. But also keep this in mind. In Europe, gasoline was expensive because the train systems were so good. Right? They were so amazing. You don't need a car in most European centers. You just don't. But in Canada, you do. Same with the United States. You need a car. The whole idea of the suburb, as cool as it was to grow up in the suburbs as a kid, there's still not a very good design. It forces people into cars. Yeah. And even though Calgary in Canada, a city I lived in for 3.5 years, has a really good above ground light rail transit, which can get you, I think is something crazy like 75 kilometers of track in there, maybe more. It still only gets you to select neighborhoods. You still got to drive.
Yeah, and Angie Kate makes a real good point here. She actually thinks a lot like I do from what I've been reading, but no public transit. I tried public transit once in around October or so. God, no, what a freaking nightmare. How can people stand this? I do not know how people can get along with having no vehicle or driving a stupid bicycle. To me, a bicycle is when you're a kid, you run, you pedal around, you have fun with your buddies and stuff because you're not old enough to drive. But you're looking forward to the second you turn 16, you're getting a license, you're driving. There's your freedom. Get in your car, go wherever the hell you want to go, whenever the hell you want to go. You don't have to wait on a schedule. You don't have nothing. You don't have to be forced to wear a mask. You don't have to show your papers that you've been jabbed up. It's crazy, crazy.
Well, kids don't race out to get their driver's licenses anymore. It's weird. Yeah, I bought a car when I was 15 and drove it home when I was 15 and then passed my driver's test a month and a half later. I was actually driving for probably about 6 or 7 months before I even had my license. I couldn't wait to get my driver's license. Now you got 30-year-olds without a driver's license. It's weird. Why don't you want to have that? Oh, because we don't need it, because I got Uber. You have any idea how much an Uber every day is going to cost you? That's more than a car and insurance. Think about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't forget scheduling. You'll never make a god darn appointment that you got to go to because, freak, I took an Uber. Somebody, thank you, you know who you are, got me an Uber a couple of weeks ago, and it was late. Then not only was it late, they screwed up, missed me, went and dropped another person off before they came back to me. Went to a spot they were supposed to pick me up, which wasn't the spot because their own customer care sent them the wrong address. And then I had to wait, probably an hour delayed. So if you think you got, hey, let's say something important like court in the morning, you're not going to make it. It's going to be a bench warrant out for you. Your life's going to be hell. So you can't even do this kind of crap because these guys are never, ever, ever. Oh, and by the way, speaking of Uber, there's a massive class action lawsuit on them because of all the sexual assaults that have been happening by their drivers. So it's not safe. No, hell no.
Oh my God. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Well, I think we're running a bit low on questions here, everybody. We'll take a couple of more. This is your questions answered, part 36. Any questions that you have and you want them answered by me or Stefanos, go ahead and throw them in the chat. Let me just check Rumble right now. Facebook group with 112,000 people protesting April 1st across Canada until the carbon tax is dropped. I personally think we should just shut the whole country down until the carbon tax is dropped, but Canadians aren't going to do that. They're just not at all. What do you do?
No, Kevin, and that's a big part of our problem. Nobody does anything. So, we had all these people in Ottawa protesting all these mandates and garbage, but they didn't fight back. When the tyrants came in, the state Nazi jackboot enforcers came in, they did not fight back. And what did we learn? You're going to get steamrolled if you don't fight back. But what did we learn again just recently? The fisheries, they won. They won today. They got their way. Why? Because they fought back. They didn't sit there while the cops were trying to trample them with horses. They smacked those horses' asses and got them the hell away from them and pushed them away. They fought back. And that is the only way that government, the only language that government will listen to, because when you push back, when they attack you physically and you defend yourself physically from an unlawful attack, government realizes at that point they best stop because they're going to start something they don't want to be in. And that is the meme where you see the state person at the head with the whip and all the people bowing down to them. But once those people stand up, it's the state that's bowing down to the people.
Damn right it is.
Spoken to a lot of politicians, and they've asked me the question, have you ever stared down an angry crowd? And I said, hell no. I wouldn't put myself in that position to begin with. That's the scariest thing that they've ever had to do is stare down an angry crowd.
You have some experience with farms. Are horses actually afraid of snakes? Do they go crazy like they do in Hollywood movies?
Wrong farming industry. I don't think horses are a farm. They're more like a sport in racing and stuff. But when you get to poultry, I can tell you all sorts of stuff.
Okay, well, cops don't ride chickens. Modern cops are really perverse. They might have sex with chickens. We know Justin Trudeau does. But no, I was always curious about that because, I brought this up in last night's show that back in the day, like the 30s and the 40s, whenever the cops would come out and trample people with horses, people always showed up with big bags of ball bearings and they'd throw them down. The horses would just woo, 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 and fall. And if a horse falls sideways and your leg gets trapped in there, your leg is shattered, man. Shattered. That's what we used to do. No one does that anymore. No one. No one thinks that you've got the right to defend yourself, especially when the police come running in and they want to trample you and old ladies like they did in Ottawa and so on. I'm not saying do it because it might be construed as a crime, but this is what people used to do.
Hey, Kevin, all it takes is a cattle prod right in the butt. You'll see that horse say goodbye.
Excuse me.
It's insane at what the state is doing to the people, and it's even more insane what the people are willing to endure. But that is actually a good thing because it shows that it's the people who have good faith. They're the people that are showing good morals. It's the people that don't want a country to spiral into a revolution, possibly. But it is the state that is willing at all costs to make such a thing happen. That's the unfortunate thing that we're seeing with our dictators in power today. And it's time we put an end to that.
Absolutely right. But I guess everybody, will you? There's the question. Will you put an end to it? I certainly hope that you will at some point. For sure. All right, Steph, I think that's the end of our questions here. It looks like everyone's just making some comments here and so on. Certainly do appreciate that. Thanks for being here, pal.
Yeah, no problem. I love being here. It's great.
So I think we're going to do this again Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in, let me know.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Looking forward to it. Stefanos Karatopoulos, thanks for being here, pal. Take care.
See you, brother.
All right, this has been your questions answered, part 36. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Kevin J Johnston. I run the Kevin J Johnston Show every single Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern time on freedomreport.ca. And yes, ladies, for those who keep asking in the email, whatnot, yeah, I'm single and so on. And all of you ask me that. None of you do anything with the information, but I'll just keep answering it because why not, right? The Kevin J Johnston Show is a political show, and we're the only ones that cover the topics that need to be discussed, and we're not afraid to discuss them in any particular way. Our government has put me in prison for 7 months of my life just for podcasting and telling the truth. Don't care. I'm still podcasting. We will see you Monday night for another Your Questions Answered, 9 p.m. Eastern time on freedomreport.ca. Good night.